Hello, everybody, and welcome to a ranked Throne of Eldraine draft. Today I'm joined by Ben Stark himself.
What's up?
That was your cue. Yeah, Ben is going to be joining us. We're going to be going through a Throne of Eldraine ranked draft, getting his thoughts, and if you are over on Ben's channel, getting my thoughts. If you didn't know, and you're watching here on my YouTube channel, Ben Stark is an MPL player that has his own YouTube channel, Ben_MTG, where you can find draft videos from him, and also has a Twitch stream under that same name, so check those out as a great tool for learning more about Magic. And if you don't know who I am, I'm NicolaiBolas. I have a YouTube channel and a tiny little Twitch stream, but usually just YouTube stuff, and you can find draft videos as well. But let's dive right in to some Throne of Eldraine action. And we have a pretty cool pack here, lots of cool cards to discuss. The cards that immediately jump to mind are Acclaimed Contender, Bognaughty, Beanstalk Giant, and then among the commons, mostly this Reef Soul. Which cards immediately come to your mind in this pack, Ben?
I mean, all the ones you just named. Acclaimed Contender, if you have a lot of Knights, is a pretty powerful card, a 3-mana 3/3, and stuff like that is better than draw a card. People see that and they go 3-mana 3/3 draw a card, but in reality, you're drawing a creature, and by the time you already have mana, even if it's just 3, you generally rather have a creature than a land. Like, there's times you'd rather have a land, but more often than not, you'd rather have a creature. That card's pretty strong.
What do you think about enabling it, though? Like, how hard is it to have another Knight in play by turn 3 when you want to cast it?
Oh, there's a ton of Knights in the format, but of course, like, playing your 3/3 on 3 has value. So, I mean, yeah, you got to prioritize those 2-drop Knights. We see 2 of them in this pack, right? Youthful Knight and Smitten Swordmaster. But that's a little bit of a drawback. But you could always just do something else on turn 3 and then play that on turn 4 or turn 5. I mean, this isn't, constructed. It's not that big of a deal if you play something slightly worse on 3 to get a Knight in play. Like, let's say you play a Lost Legion, I think it's called, the 3-mana 2/3 Scry Knight.
Yeah, one black.
And then on turn 4 you play your 3/3. So you miss the power on turn 3. Not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're drawing a card as a reward. What about these other cards? Which ones do you think are the best in this pack?
Bognaughty I've liked a lot. That card I didn't give like a super high rating to, but I think it's better than it looks because the format is just so slow. There are a lot of formats where a 5-mana 3/3 flyer wouldn't be a great drop. You'd have to block with it. You wouldn't even get to untap and start activating it and stuff. But more often than not, I just find myself at 16 on turn 5 in this format, and Bognaughty is just a big threat.
I think the prevalence of Golden Egg also makes this card better than it would be normally, because if you look at the colors that generate food, a lot of that will be in green, like they have several cards in green like Curious Pair that just make a food. But Golden Egg means that even your white-black deck can play Bognaughty and have foods to throw around, which is just a really nice tool to have access to, which makes the card a lot better, I think.
That's a good point. Beanstalk Giant's clearly an efficient card. It's totally fine to pay 3 to search your library for a land, and then you get a 7-mana 7/7 afterwards.
I think the 7-mana 7/7 is actually really kind of big for this format too, because the only cards that really deal with it at common are Bake into a Pie, and then Trapped in a Tower, and then Charmed Sleep. Those are the only real 3 that can really take care of the Beanstalk Giant. So I've had decks that have 3 Reef Souls, and then I just can't kill a Beanstalk Giant, and that really is kind of a pain to deal with. And then Reef Soul, obviously, at common is really powerful as well. What card do you like to take out of this pack, do you think?
My inclination would probably be Acclaimed Contender, but I think you could definitely justify any of those 4 cards.
Yeah. Do you have any color preferences in this set that would make you shy away from Acclaimed Contender or be more optimistic about playing it, or are they relatively even in your opinion?
I mean, I think white might be the weakest color, but I definitely think you can draft good white decks. One of the things I really like about this format is it feels like you can play white and red aggro decks, black and green mid-range decks, or blue control decks.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think that all the colors are very playable. It's not like an M20 situation where in this pack I would be maybe if a Acclaimed Contender might be the best card, but I would maybe avoid it because the other cards are in better colors. But yeah, I think starting with Acclaimed Contender is really nice, especially because then you can prioritize getting Knights to enable it. So I think that's a fine start off for the draft. And then after that, I think I'd probably take Beanstalk Giant and then Bognaughty, but that's really close for me. And then I'd take the Reef Soul after all those cards.
Yeah, that's actually probably exactly the order I'd rank them. I would have Acclaimed Contender as kind of what a phrase that I think I might have coined, close but clear, as in it's just a little bit better, but it's definitely better in my opinion. And then Bognaughty and Beanstalk Giant would be next, and they're super close with Reef Soul in 4th. Yeah. Not a distant 4th, but a clear 4th.
Yeah, I like that phraseology. I've definitely used that many times myself. And now moving on to pack 2, we do not see Actually, there's a single white card, but we're not taking Arden Veil Paladin here. The rare is missing, so we can't really get a clear sense of what they took because it could have been anything. But there are several good uncommons still. Foulmire Knight and Trail of Crumbs have been impressive to me. And then in the commons, I think the best common, in my opinion, is probably either Paladin or Truan Veil Treefolk, but they're just not super incredible commons. Yeah, what do you like in this pack?
The only 2 cards I would consider are the 2 uncommons in the front of the pack.
Yeah.
I think Trail's probably a little better than Foulmire Knight, but Foulmire Knight goes better with Acclaimed Contender.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and it's not a lot better.
Yeah,
Foulmire Knight's a good card.
Mm-hmm. Like they're both.
So I don't know. I think you could definitely take either of these. But starting with like a broken rare kind of white knight card, I'd probably be inclined to take Foulmire.
Yeah, I think Foulmire is just really nice, especially because it like just works really well with the Acclaimed Contender, and also you can find it off Acclaimed Contender. Like that's like nice because then you chain together. You get a 2-for-1 on Acclaimed Contender. You get your Foulmire, get a 2-for-1 on that. So that can be the type of card, the combination that just pulls you ahead in a game that you were very even in before. And also Foulmire is a card that I love with the Barrow Witches. Like that card really shines with Foulmire because then you get even more value. And I think then after that I would take Trail of Crumbs, and then I'd probably take my first Garen Brigg Paladin over my first 2 in Veil Treefolk, but that one's really close for me.
There's no third here.
Yeah, there's no third.
If somebody wanted to take Trail of Crumbs over Foulmire here, I would be like, that's cool, no problem. Like, it's the better card. Doesn't go very well with the Acclaimed Contender, but it's the more powerful card. I'm cool with that. But it's just a cliff. Drop,
it's just like, it's like what has happened.
The drop from Trail of Crumbs to Garen Brigg Paladin is massive. I would have no problem with somebody taking either Trail of Crumbs or Foulmire Knight here. But if they wanted to take Garen Brigg Paladin over Trail of Crumbs, I would stop them.
It's like, wait, what are you doing? You just rip up the Garen Brigg Paladin to protect them from themselves. But yeah, Foulmire Knight's a clear pick there, or a nice pick there. And now, another couple interesting ones. In this pack, the thing that really interests me is Steelclaw Lance because it's such a powerful card. But then there's also a Reeve Soul that keeps us flexible. And then there's no really white cards. Bartered Cow has not been a bargain, as they would say.
Yeah. Bartered Cow's not very good. I boarded it in for the first time. I didn't even main it, of course, but I boarded it in because I was playing against a red-green aggro deck with all these ground creatures that it could trade with, and they had finishers. It was just a very aggressive deck.
Yeah.
But I've never mained it, and that was the very first time I boarded it in, and it was yesterday or Thursday on stream.
My favorite part about Bartered Cow is that the adventure half of Merchant of the Veil is called Haggle, and you can haggle the Bartered Cow to get a food. And that's just such a flavor win. But that doesn't actually make the card good. It's just kind of something someone pointed out to me. And then I just kind of like the overarching fairy tale.
To compare the cow to another common, I think it's called Fierce Witch Stalker, the 4/4 trample green one.
Oh yeah, same mana cost and a whole lot smaller.
You get the +1/+1 to trample, and you get the food.
Exactly. It's why would you? Yeah, I guess you have. Yeah, you're not at least an ox creature or something. I don't know. But in this pack, I think I'm really close between the Steelclaw Lance and the Reeve Soul because Steelclaw Lance could just be the best card in your deck if you're a black-red deck, but then Reeve Soul is just always going to be great. I think I would end up on Reeve Soul, but I think it's an interesting spot.
I agree. Steelclaw Lance can definitely be better than Reeve Soul in a Knight's deck. And we're not trying to, force that Acclaimed Contender, and you can always splash it. If we play Black-Red Knights, we'll probably be able to get the Acclaimed Contender in our deck. But I don't think Steelclaw Lance is enough better than Reeve Soul to take it here.
I agree. Where are you at on Curious Pair, by the way? That's just a card that I think is pretty solid in a lot of the green decks, the slower ones, but I don't know exactly how high everyone else is on it. What do you think of this card?
Yeah, it's just the better your late game, the better Curious Pair, right? It's a 1/3 blocker, and it gains you 3 life or gives you access to a food. That if you're trying to attack the opponent, that's a horrendous card. If you're just trying to live as long as you can because you're trying to deck them, or you have massive bombs and card drawing or something, then that's a pretty good card.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're just gonna take the Reeve Soul.
Curious Pair is an innate. Yeah, Curious Pair, even though it doesn't look like a combo card, it's really like a combo card. It's like an enabler for late game. It makes it hard for you to lose quickly, but it doesn't do very much on its own as far as winning the game, pressuring the opponent, dealing damage. But it makes it hard for you to lose quickly. So if you have a bunch of card drawing so that you're going to win the late game, or if you have powerful late game, then Curious Pair is good.
Another thing I love about Curious Pair is that it pairs nicely with the adventure synergy uncommons. It does well with Innkeeper and also the Lucky Clover because getting 2 foods instead of 1 is like really kind of nice, and so like it can slot nicely into a lot of the adventure decks as well, which gives it a little more flexibility than just being a black-green food card.
Definitely agree with that, but I think that Lucky Clover is pretty busted. Like, so
Yeah,
it's not
that
really,
card's disgusting.
yeah, it's not really a big concern or whatever.
I Oko'd my opponent's Lucky Clover and felt like I had a steal. Like I was like so happy because they were on like a blue deck and they milled me 8 cards with a Secret Keeper because of their Lucky Clover, and then I Oko'd +1 on Lucky Clover and felt all of a sudden like I just like was safe. Yeah, that card's great. Okay, this pack has no black cards really. I mean, it's got some. It's got Tempting Witch, which is okay. But the uncommon's kind of jank. I mean, this pick is like kind of like not great. I think Scalding Cauldron is the card that comes to mind for me because it just keeps us very flexible and can be a solid card in any deck. But yeah, what do you like in this pack?
Scalding Cauldron is definitely not unreasonable. I think this is the first pick I'm probably going to disagree on. Now, Scalding Cauldron is close, and it would be like one of the cards I would definitely consider. I think I would take Merfolk Secret Keeper, though. Even though it's a bit of a departure from what we've been doing, if you look at Foulmire Knight and Reef Soul, those are both pretty good blue-black defensive grindy cards. We don't really know whether we're going to see White Knights or like blue-black control mill, but you never really want to miss out on Secret Keepers when that's something you can draft because like if you get 2 Secret Keepers, it's really hard to mill people out, but if you get 4, your deck is just bonkers.
Yeah.
So given how mediocre Cauldron is, it's fine. You're always going to play it, and it would certainly slot in with what we have. And we're clearly in a position now where we're likely, but not definitely, going to play black, and we really have no other colors at this point. I think Cauldron's a fine pick for staying open, but I would honestly just take Secret Keeper because if we do see black-blue control like mill, Foulmire Knight's good in that deck, Reef Soul's good in that deck, and you want every Secret Keeper you can get.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the Secret Keeper being like it's very above replacement level because it's kind of the only like I guess there's didn't say please, but you really need the Secret Keepers as your engine if you're going to be playing a mill deck. So it's a little bit above replacement. And Scalding Cauldron is one of those cards that definitely is just medium in the gameplay, but in the drafting portion, I give it a little bit of a bump because it is colorless, and so you can play it in any deck. So a lot of the time you can be like, well, I've got these 2 black cards and a white card. Taking the Scalding Cauldron makes me able to like choose my second color a little bit later. But Merfolk Secret Keeper is definitely a nice card, so I think we'll just take that and see how the draft will progress down Ben Stark lines. Okie doke.
I mean, look, we might go on to see white cards from here or green food stuff and just not play the Secret Keeper. But yeah, it's exactly what you just said. Like, I agree with bumping Cauldron a little bit in the draft portion because it's like a dead average card, but it's dead average in every single deck. But in this day and age, you pretty rarely don't end up with enough playables, right? And so when we have 2 black cards and blue-black control, one of the premier archetypes, if it was like a medium blue card that was slightly better than Cauldron that I wouldn't care if I missed out on, I would take the Cauldron. But like I said, the thing with Secret Keeper is like you just want like every Secret Keeper makes all the other Secret Keepers that much better. So it's a big difference if you end up with 4 as opposed to 3 or 3 as opposed to 2.
Definitely. I was trying to come up with a sports metaphor for like Secret Keeper being like your star first baseman and Scalding Cauldron being like a dead average backup shortstop or something, but I like couldn't come up with it in time. I was like, gosh, sports metaphors are hard. But yeah, this pack's interesting too. There's a Golden Egg, which is another card that I think is like plays out solid in the games, but gets a bump for being flexible in the draft, and it enables a lot of splashes. But then there's also a Spinning Wheel, which I haven't actually gotten to play with yet after a decent number of drafts. Like I'm over 10 drafts in, I haven't gotten to play with this yet, but it seems solid enough, like a decent option. And then there's not much else. There's like a Scavengers, there's a Foreboding Fruit. What do you like in this pack?
I'm with you. I would take Golden Egg. So I played with Spinning Wheel once or twice. Like, it's fine. If you want a ramp effect, like if you're like a black-green deck and like you've got like 6 and 7 mana cards or something, sure. But if you look at the cards we have, they're all pretty cheap right now. I know we only have 4 cards, but still. And it's not like Spinning Wheel is that high power level or anything. Golden Egg, like you said, is just very solid. It fixes your mana. It helps you with your land drops. It gives you some life. It gives you some free food, basically. It doesn't want free food because you don't have to spend a card on it. You just pay 2 mana and you draw a new card, and now you've got some food.
Yeah, it also enables artifact synergies by like sitting in play. So like you can have your just random Golden Egg, and then your Moonlit Scavengers bounces their creature, which is huge game because in a blue deck you don't have that many ways to generate food. Like sure, you have other ways to make artifacts, but it's just a nice little extra synergy from Golden Egg as well. So yeah, I like that pick here. Oh, the same exact pick again. Obviously, this one's not close, though, because once you've had the first Secret Keeper, the other one goes up in value.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I would definitely not consider Cauldron here. If anything, I mean, I would take Secret Keeper here, of
I
course.
think
But if anything, that my
Sword
next choice would
Masters.
be, yeah, it would be
Yeah.
Swordmaster. Because if you do end up going back to Black-White, then you've got the Contender, the Swordmaster, the Falmir. But yeah, I would take Secret Keeper. I mean, it's pack one. Our black stuff lends itself to control really nicely. Reef Soul and Falmir Knight are both excellent controllers cards. It's unfortunate we won't get to use our first pick rare if we go like blue-black control. But with 2 Secret Keepers, Falmir Knight, Reef Soul, Golden Egg, 6 picks in, those 5 cards, we have a nice version of that deck going.
I think, also, if we opened something really good, like a great, like, bomb green card or red card, we could also just, and if we had ended up heavier blue in this pack, like, obviously it's pick 6, but there are definitely paths where we just don't even end up in black, where we just end up in blue, or we just could end up in a deck that doesn't run blue at all, like maybe we only see a couple Secret Keepers, and then we end up back in the black-white, like, it's still very early on, but...
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying like the most likely places we'll end up now. I'm not saying where we're definitely going to end up. I mean, I always say the draft determines what you draft, not you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get to choose where you end up. We don't know what's going to be in the next packs.
For sure. Also, do you ever play Claim the Firstborn? I feel like this card is just unplayable, like in my opinion, just because it's like worse active treason. And
it's unplayable as an active treason finisher. Like, you don't play this card to take their like on tap blocker and swing. Like, you'll do it with it if it's in your deck, but you don't play it for that reason. Now, if you have sacrifice outlets, it's really cheap.
Oh, so Malevolent Noble.
Yeah, like you know how like it's pretty hard. Yeah, like you know how it's pretty hard to combo together like 2 3-mana cards or 3 and a 4-mana cards because that requires you having 6 and 7 mana in play. So this card's really cheap. So anything that like requires you to sack a creature, Malevolent Noble being a common that sits in play and has an activation cost of 2, so that means you only need 3 mana out in order to claim something of theirs and sack its noble. Just any sacrifice synergies basically Claim is excellent with.
Okay, nice. I like. Was like thinking, I was just like, that was the type of card that I just like always wonder what other people think of it because I never played it, but I'm always curious. Okay,
it's way worse. It's way worse as an active treason.
Yeah.
The beauty of active treason is you could take their biggest creature that was stopping you and then attack with everything for the win. And you're usually looking to play it at the end of the game. You're not that concerned about the mana cost. So the fact that they lower the cost from 3 to 1 basically doesn't matter if it's the last card you're playing on the last turn when you're taking your biggest blocker and trying to swing out. But yeah, as a sack synergy card, the 1 mana matters a lot because now if you only have 3 lands in play, you can still take their creature and then sack it.
I think this next pick is kind of interesting. I think I would be on So Tiny here because it just works well with the Secret Keepers and is a great removal spell. But Barrow Witches being able to get back Foulmire Knight is also kind of a cool option. And so yeah, I think this is a pretty interesting pick.
Yeah, I agree. It's between those two, and this is a super close one. This is where like I often confuse people in drafts because I'm like, okay, like it looks like we're going blue-black, and then I go back and take like a white card or a black knight card that would go better in black-white, and then they're just like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm just making it pick by pick. Like I don't have a plan as where I'm going. I just look at the 2 cards in the pack. In this case, like So Tiny and Barrow Witches probably pretty close. I do like So Tiny a lot if we're going to be milling them out and we're never really worried about attacking them. So I'm with you. I'd probably take So Tiny. Barrow Witches definitely close. I mean, we have 2 blue cards, 1 white card. So, I mean, you could definitely take Barrow Witches out of this pack. It's a powerful card for a black-white night stack. My inclination would be So Tiny. But I think it's between those 2 cards, and I think it's very close.
The reason, one of the other reasons I like So Tiny is like if the draft had gone like backwards order, where we like went first pick a contender into 2 Secret Keepers and then 2 black cards, I might hedge towards a black card. But when I get on a roll of taking a certain color in a draft, a lot of the time that the later I got a good card in blue will make me more likely to go into blue continuing forward because it's more of a signal point if I see a Secret Keeper. Like if I see an 8th pick Secret Keeper, my 9th pick is more like I'm more influenced by that color potentially being open. Kind of like how Acclaimed Contender doesn't make me want to like prioritize white cards as much, like because it's not really a signal because we opened it. So like the later you see a good card, the more likely it is that color is potentially open.
I agree. That's a really good point. At this point, we've seen a good amount of blue and black. We've seen virtually no white. So, I mean, like there's 2 good white. I mean, there's 2 clear best white commons, right? Ardenvale Tactician and Trapped in the Tower. And we haven't seen a single copy of either of those. And like you said, we first picked the contender that didn't get passed to us. Meanwhile, we got like a Secret Keeper's pretty late. Falmir Knight second, Reeve Soul third. So, I mean, we've seen some access to black, lots of access to blue, and no access to white.
Yeah, so I think So Tiny is the pick here. What do you think of Flaxen Intruder as a card, like in general? Like, I feel like it's not super great except if you have Lucky Clover, in which case it becomes like quite good, or like a card you're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
play.
So in green-white adventures, it can be pretty good because if you cast it and you're getting any adventure on common trigger, like if you have Innkeeper, you're playing a 1-mana 1/2 that draws a card. If you have Pathlighter, you're playing a 1-mana 2/3.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, of course, it's most broken with Lucky Clover because 3 2/2s when you finally hit 7 may not win you the game. 6 2/2s probably will.
Yeah, I've played against that, even against decks like that have a bunch of counter spells. Like I can't counter the copy and the normal spell, so like it just like runs you over sometimes. But yeah, that was just a little aside. So tiny.
Yeah, it's an interesting card to evaluate. I would virtually never put that in my deck unless I had Lucky Clover or at least like Pathlighters and stuff, like Adventure Synergy.
I agree with that. This pack is a lot less inspiring. Would you just take Witch's Oven here, or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
this pack sucks. I would take Witch's Oven, but there's like nothing good in this pack for us.
I like it. It's like it's like a little backdoor in case we see some of those cats that go well with it, but not really a huge priority, and probably not going to make the cut if we don't see synergy. Wow, this pick's actually interesting because there's a lot of cards in our colors.
Yeah, this is a bit of a curveball for me. I mean, Smitten Swordmaster is pretty bad in blue-black control, but it's really good if we end up black-white knights. I know a lot of the draft now took us towards blue-black control, but I mean, I still might take the Swordmaster because, I mean, otherwise, what are we taking? We're taking Moonlight Scavengers, a card we don't even know if we want. I guess Foreboding Fruit is like a reasonable card draw spell.
Yeah, I think the thing with Foreboding Fruit is that if we end up in a blue-black mill deck, we're probably going to have enough card draw because blue has unexplained vision and also Witching Well, and like at uncommon it's got Into the Story, so we're probably going to end up with enough card draw if we end up in a blue-black deck. Whereas if we end up in a white-black Knights deck, we're going to want a 2-drop Knight that we can play to curve into our Acclaim Contender. There's also...
I agree with that. Foreboding Fruit is much more valuable card drawing for black-green food when you're using your food the best, and that deck doesn't have card drawing anyway otherwise, and is looking to play these like grindy games. For, like you said, blue has excellent card drawing in this format.
Yeah. And if we were playing a white-black Knights deck, we wouldn't even necessarily want Foreboding Fruit as much. Like, we'd probably play it, but it wouldn't be great. So I think, and even if this was a best of 3 draft instead of a best of 1, Swordmaster would also just be a good sideboard card for a blue-black control deck potentially. If it lined up well with their creatures, because lifelink can be a nice little way to stop aggro.
Yeah, if it's an effective blocker against an aggro deck, like you have to see which creatures they have in game 1, but if it's an effective blocker, then you always want a cheap card that can trade off with their 2-drop and gain you 2 life. Yeah. That's definitely an advantage if you're controlling their aggro.
So yeah, I think Swordmaster's a nice pick here. Where are you at on Mystic Sanctuary and like the lands like in general that have this type of effect that are kind of hard to trigger but give you marginal value?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a 1-color or close to 1-color deck, like if you have 12, 13 islands in your deck, then these cards are fantastic. But on like 8 or 9, like most decks, they're kind of hard to trigger. Yeah. Now, they're just a tap land, so like it's fine to put a copy in your deck, but I'm not prioritizing them highly.
Yeah, how often would you say you end up in a deck that has 13 or 14 of 1 color in it? Like, do you reliably go like monocolor decks in this format? Because I've found myself going like monocolor or very heavy color quite frequently in this format, so like I don't like take them super highly, but when I do have them, they are going to be on a lot of the time.
I think that like you're almost supposed to, but it hasn't happened for me a lot yet. I don't really know, like maybe I'm just staying open like too much and not committing to 1 color, but the vast majority of my draft decks in this format have been pretty 2 colors, like just, pretty close to half and half, like 10-7 or 9-8 mana. But I definitely feel like the way the format's designed with Adamant and everything, you're going to want to draft a lot more 12-5 mana bases and, a light splash maybe of a 2nd color, but mostly a 1-color deck. But I honestly haven't drafted a lot of decks like that yet.
I think the biggest level up for me early on was honestly in like one of my first, I think it was my first draft, was when I played mono green and realized just how good the Adamant on Outmuscle was, which kind of like biased my like drafting in the future towards trying to play the heavy color decks just to see how good the payoffs were, because Outmuscle giving Indestructible is much better than Outmuscle that doesn't give Indestructible, so it seemed kind of nice. It like made me want to try out doing that with other colors, and one of the biggest payoffs that I've noticed and I've talked with people about is the hybrid cards being like a nice payoff for being monocolored, because if you like have like 14 planes in your deck, you can play the green-white hybrid, the white-blue hybrid, the
you can play any of the white
hybrids. So you kind of unlock those, and you can get those a little bit later than you normally would.
that's definitely a great reason to go heavy one color. And I think that's, like I said, I think the format's designed to push you into that.
Yeah.
I think it's just maybe a pure coincidence. I mean, the format hasn't been out very long, and I've done a decent amount of drafts, but not as many as I usually would have at this point because I was testing for MC5. So, like, at this point, I've probably done around 20 drafts in this format. And I think I've only played heavy one color, like, maybe a couple of times, like maybe 2 of the 20. You know, not even necessarily 1, but, like, you know, like at least, like, 11 to 12 of, like, let's say a mana source. But I agree that, like, this format looks like you're supposed to play, like, heavy, like, almost one color or one color a decent amount of the time. It just hasn't happened.
I will say that part of that is probably influenced by Arena, because on Arena, I think just the way the bots take cards is they're not going to let those hybrid cards go past a certain point. So in a person draft on MTGO or at FNM, you will get the hybrid card late in the draft because they just literally can't play the card, so they're not going to take it, whereas the bot will probably just snap it up. But yeah, I think this pick is a Swordmaster, and we'll move on to
because similar to why we took that for Secret Keeper, if we don't play the Swordmaster and we don't play white and we play black-blue control, there's no loss there. Like, who cares about that Mystic Sanctuary or that Foreboding Fruit? But if we do play black-white Knights, we really want the Smitten Swordmaster.
Definitely. So now, do you take the Turtle or this Memory Theft, or take a little oddball approach and go with the Inquisitive Puppet?
I wouldn't take the puppet. I agree, it's the Turtle and the Theft.
It's terrifying.
If this was best of 3 Magic, I would probably take the Theft, because I think the Theft's a pretty powerful sideboard card if you see your opponent's got a lot of adventures, or they're just like a slow controlling deck. Given it's not, I'd probably take the Turtle, because it's just a good solid card that you can main deck if you need the playable.
Yeah.
It's good against control because it makes things unblockable. It's fine against aggro as long as they're attacking on the ground, because it's, 5 toughness and it's tough to attack into.
Yeah.
So it's like a totally mediocre card, but it's like serviceable in every type of matchup.
Yeah.
So if you end up short playables in best of 1, that can easily be your 22nd or 23rd card.
One other thing with Memory Theft that I've liked is certain blue decks just have like 3 counter spells in them. So if you have important cards you need to resolve, you can wait to the later part of the game and then Memory Theft them and play your key spell in the same turn. So like, say you have a Midnight Clock, which will stop your mill opponent from getting you, and they pass the turn and they have their counter spell mana up, you can Memory Theft them first and then resolve your key spell.
Memory Theft's been an overperformer for me. If you want to take Memory Theft here, I'm totally cool with it.
I don't think I'd
like I said, if this was best of 3, like if this was in an MC or something, I would take Memory Theft.
Yeah, I don't think I would main deck.
I think this is a really cool pick.
I would never main deck Memory Theft, I don't think. So I think taking River Turtle makes more sense for this context, but I do think it's best.
It's a good sideboard card.
I would take Memory Theft as a sideboard card. And now
I completely agree. It's a good sideboard card.
Now there's a Overwhelmed Apprentice or a Henswalker. Apprentice is pretty
That's
solid.
Just a super late Overwhelmed Apprentice. I mean, it's not a great card, but it's a very solid card if you're going to play mill.
Yeah. And now I would probably just take the Drawbridge here over the Lochthwain. I don't love Mantle. Yeah. These last picks don't really matter all that much. Gingerbread is a card I've never played, and it's been kind of annoying against me in certain matchups, but I just, don't think it's particularly a great card. What if you're...
You have to want, with Gingerbread, I think that people play this card too much. You have to want both effects. Like, if you want a 1-mana 1/1 haste that, you can pay 1 and deal them a point, and you want the food, then you play it. Okay. But you have to want both, I think.
So maybe like an aggressive, black deck. Oh my gosh. Sorry. What? This was all skill. Clearly planned
Skill
out.
Rewarded. We found the open color. We started with a white rare. We had to drop it. We meandered into blue-black because that's what we were clearly being passed, and now we got rewarded. You gotta love it.
Max rewarded. Lochmere Serpent's one of the best rares, I think, in the set. Particularly because nobody can... And even in Best of 1, it gets better even, because they can never play around the Lochmere Serpent, because it's a rare. So you just hold your 6 mana up, they attack their creature, and you eat their creature, and then it just comes back. It's just busted card.
Unkillable, unblockable, draws cards, flash, hyper efficient.
They just keyword dumped on this card, just we're just going to make this card do everything we want. Oh my gosh.
That's on my list of cards that should be banned from Limited. It's designed clearly to be maybe you'll play it in your, blue-black control deck in Standard. It's the power level where it's maybe you'll play it, maybe you won't, depending on whether you want a flash finisher.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, of course, it just runs buck wild and Limited. That's just not a card that it shouldn't exist in Booster Draft.
Yeah, I would, in Sealed, when my opponent played this against me, I just knew I couldn't win anymore. It's just because it's just unblockable a lot of the time, too. It's just this card is great, especially with our mill cards, because we can just get it back over and over. So
Yeah, it's very good.
yeah, I'm gonna obviously take this, and then we after that probably just take Epic Downfall, but it's not like remotely close to being close.
Yep. It's not remote. None of the top three cards, given what we have, I would take. None are close to each other.
Yeah,
Serpent by a lot, then Downfall by a lot, then Secret Keeper by a lot.
yeah, and then it just drops off again. This pack, I mean, there's like one card in our color, Witching Well. There's also an Improbable Alliance if we wanted to splash that. Or there's a banner, which isn't really what our deck is doing. Lost Legion. What do you like in this pack?
I definitely agree. It's a sad second pick, but it's a good card, Witching Well. My second choice would probably be Lost Legion, which you didn't touch on. I know that we're not, that it's not a great card for a blue-black deck or anything, and it's a big drop-off from Witching Well, I think. But we do still have Foulmire Knight already, so maybe if we end up with 3 or 4 of those type of knights, we still can play a Barrow Witches or something. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not concerned with any of that, and I would still take Witching Well by a substantial amount.
Yeah, I think Witching Well is just a great card, especially for setting up. It helps you dig for your Lockmere Serpent or your whatever cards you really need early on. Just finds your lands, and then later on it just cashes in for some card draw. I think.
Yeah, and when you're a mill control deck like ours, I mean, you're looking to play long games, so like you should be able to cash it in for 2 cards most of the time. And if you look at Witching Well as a card that smooths your draw early for basically no mana, and then puts you up a card late when you have excess mana, it's basically good early and good late. So even though the card doesn't look all that incredible, it's actually like really well designed to be an effective card, but both for the 1 mana you pay on turn 1 or 2, and for the 4 mana you pay like later in the game.
Yeah, I agree completely. I actually think that in this spot, I would potentially take the Improbable Alliance as a splash target over the Lost Legion, just because double black on turn 3 might be hard given the cards we already have, because we're going to want to be heavy blue to be able to cast both halves of Secret Keeper on the same turn, and also because it's like it's a pretty low opportunity cost to take the Improbable Alliance. We have a Golden Egg that could maybe help splash. But I agree, it's not like even close. I think Witching Well is just definitely.
That's what you want for sure. I mean, Improbable Alliance is a super strong card, so I definitely get you. I think a lot of people would take Improbable Alliance over Lost Legion here. I'm pretty big on the Scry too when you're mill, because you just need to dig up more of your mill cards and card drawing. Yeah. Also, it's 2 cards closer to Lockmere Serpent.
So yeah.
And then, like I said, with a Foulmire Knight already, I kind of like the idea of picking up a few playable knights if we can.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking if Witching Well wasn't in the pack, I would 100% take Witching Well.
Witching Well's like not even close on that one. Now there is a Reaper of Night that jumps to the mind. There's an Opt, and then there's a Prophet of the Peak. But this pack, and then the Eye Collector, I guess. But I have not been. I don't think I play Eye Collector in my mill decks just because it has like mill text on it. I think you don't really want this type of effect generally. So I think
I agree. I think Eye Collector is bad for the similar reasons that I kind of really like Scry in this deck, because we're looking to play these long games, and every mill card you want. So how I was talking about how, like, if you have 4 Secret Keepers, it's a lot better than having 3. Like, cheap Scry effects like Witching Well and Opt make your deck effectively smaller, so it's kind of the same thing. Like, if you have 3 Secret Keepers, but you have 2 Opts, 2 Witching Wells, or you have 4 Secret Keepers, but you have no Opts, no Witching Wells, that's pretty similar in terms of how often you're going to Secret Keeper people. Plus, we also have Lockmere Serpent, a totally broken rare that almost every time we draw and can cast, we're going to win. So, I mean, I like stuff like Opt, and I like any form of Scry that's efficient enough when we have a mill deck with 2 Secret Keepers and a Lockmere Serpent already.
That's really interesting, too. The one thing that I was thinking about with this pick, between Opt and Reaper, I think that's like the only real pick here, is that Reaper of Night kind of gives us another like win condition per se. Say we don't see another Secret Keeper in the rest of the draft, we could like kind of backdoor into just a blue-black control deck that uses Lockmere Serpent and then like a Reaper of Night to win the game. That being said, it's only early pack 2, so we do still have a lot of time to find another Secret Keeper, and Reaper's a type of card I would only ever want 1 copy of, so I think taking Opt here makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and like 2 Secret Keepers, plus we already have an Overwhelmed Apprentice also. That's like half a Secret Keeper.
Yeah.
And then we have a lot of card drawing. We have like Foulmire Knight, Witching Well, Golden Egg. So I feel like even if we don't see another Secret Keeper, as long as we see like some ways to recur it, then I think we'll still be fine to deck people with 2 Secret Keepers and Overwhelmed Apprentice in a blue-black deck with all the Scry and stuff like that.
And then we'd only really need Lockmere Serpent as a win con because it can come back even if it dies.
Yep.
Okay, and now there's a Witching Well, there's also a Golden Egg, and then there's a Tempting Witch in our colors. I do want to get your opinion on Fires of Invention. Do you think this card is playable in Limited?
I would never play that in a limited deck.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on it. Though I have seen deck lists of people that play this alongside like off-color splash cards like Feasting Troll King, but I think that's like kind of not really a thing you can do.
Like, basically, if you're gonna make that work in limited, you're gonna have to have a lot of card drawing, like that 5 mana blue card drawing card
Yeah,
that you talked about earlier.
Unexplained Vision. I remembered its name. I'm so proud.
Yeah, you're gonna, because otherwise you're just gonna go down a card, and like you're gonna already have played a spell or two by turn 4, I would hope, or you're probably just got run over. So then, like by the time you're playing fires, like you just don't have that many spells to play for free. Like you may have a spell or two left in hand, but then like you could just cast them, if you didn't have fires. Like why are you going down a whole card to play like 2 spells on turn 5 and then never use fires again? Let's say if you could just tap your mana. But if you're a deck full of card drawing and stuff and cheap removal, maybe. But it really would take a lot for fires to get there for me in limited.
Someone played against me in limited, and then they had 2 cards left in their hand, and then they just ended up running out of cards, and Fires was sitting there doing nothing. And
exactly.
It also just made the game.
If I had
go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just saying if I had, it would take a lot. Like if I had like a bunch of like a blue-red with like a ton of card drawing, and then also like some cheap removal and stuff, so I wouldn't get run over, then maybe I'd consider it. But it would just take a ton. Yeah,
it also makes it significantly easier for your opponent in combat because you never have to worry about them bouncing your creature in response because they just can't cast spells on your turn. So I would be like, well, normally I might play around Runaway Together or like a Scorching Dragonfire or something, but they just have this card that just actively makes it impossible for them to interact in combat. So that's kind of a downside. Going on to the actual pick, though, do you think Witching Well, there's a Golden Egg, and then there's Tempting Witch? Those are the 3 that jump to my mind. I kind of just like the Witching Well for the same scry reasons we mentioned above, especially because we aren't really looking to splash necessarily with the egg, and we already have one.
Yeah, so the Tempting Witch is a pretty distant third for me here. I agree that right now our deck definitely wants Witching Well more than Golden Egg. Golden Egg can definitely become more powerful than Witching Well, but we're not looking to splash, like you said. The life is still useful. I mean, we're a late game deck.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, I could see a balance between Witching Wells and Golden Eggs, and I feel like it's somewhat close between those two. But I'd probably take the Witching Well right now.
Yeah, I think there's also, if we didn't have like a Lockmere Serpent that kind of made us want to play blue-black for like guaranteed, so that we can activate both abilities and stuff, then the Golden Egg as like say this was like a blue-red card that's like super good, that's like a same mana cost, but doesn't have all the activated abilities, then taking a Golden Egg could mean that we play like are even more flexible, can play like blue, white, and splash, the type of card. But Lockmere Serpent, you want to have swamps so you can sacrifice them to gain life. I mean, to draw cards and stuff like that. So it makes it like more likely to just want to play it in a 2-color deck than as a splash.
Definitely agreed.
Okie doke. And now, I mean, there is Sage of the Falls and there's Cauldron's Gift. I don't think this is close, really. I think Sage of the Falls.
Oh, just an easy Sage, right?
Yeah, like Cauldron's Gift isn't even good in our deck because our best card to get back with it can come back on its own. So like we don't even need it. There's a Signpost Scarecrow, which is kind of a card that has overperformed a little for me, but definitely not even remotely close to Sage. Sage is fantastic.
Sage is just excellent. I mean, the fact that you get the 1 loot right away, and then it's reasonable statted for a defensive deck, and then you just use that loot to just further keep playing things and keep looting. I mean, it's just a fantastic card.
The thing that I've been afraid of with it is milling myself out with it, but then when you're playing a mill deck, you are definitely going to mill your opponent first, so the downside kind of goes away. And it does pair nicely with a Fairy Vandal, so that's a nice little payoff. Yeah. There's also another Opt as well. But I think Fairy Vandal is just a really nice card, especially with 2 Witching Wells and the Opt we already have, and the Foulmire Knight.
Air Knight, Golden Egg, Sage of the Falls, Lockmere Serpent. Our whole deck triggers Fairy Vandal.
Everything except Merfolk Secret Keeper and Overwhelmed Apprentice, pretty much, yeah. And Golden Egg, yeah. So, yeah, I think this is a pretty clear pick as well.
Agreed.
Oh my gosh. This is a tricky pick. Things just got interesting.
Yeah, we want both of those cards very badly.
I think
I'm not really sure.
I think I'd be on.
It's kind of unbelievable.
Yeah, I can't believe there's still, and there's also a Scorching Dragonfire in this pack. Like, what's being taken out of this pack? Oh my gosh, man. This must have been like, if this is pick 8, like there's 8 cards left. No, there's been 6 cards taken out of the pack. There must have been a rare, 3 broken uncommons, and then like I don't even know 2 commons I would take over these 2 commons. So
yeah, it's two of the best common removal in the set, just the best overall commons, and then what our deck is doing, Secret Keeper's incredible in our deck.
Yeah, I think I'm Bacon to Pie.
I don't know.
I think I would take Bacon to Pie.
Yeah, I mean,
even though
if we didn't,
Go ahead.
Oh no, if we didn't have a Lochmere and Sage, then I think we'd probably just want Secret Keeper. Given we can win as a blue-black control deck pretty well too, then I could definitely see the bait.
Yeah, the thing with the bake is it's kind of hard to cast in our deck because we are going to want to be very heavy blue so we can cast Opt and Secret Keeper in the same turn and Overwhelmed Apprentice and Opt and all these like heavy blue cards early. But we don't have an answer for a big threat right now. We don't have any counter spells. We don't have a Didn't Say Pleases. We don't have any Charmed Sleeps. We only have one So Tiny to take care of threats once they're, and Reef Soul to take care of things once they're on the board. And I think that, like as you were saying, our deck already has the tools to win in the late game without a Secret Keeper. So I think Bake into a Pie just fills a void that our deck kind of needs, and the food is nice. So I think this is really close pick.
I agree. I think it's really close. This is not a pick at this point where I would have a problem with getting either card.
Yeah.
My inclination would be Bake by a little bit, but I think it's like very close.
Yeah, that's like my instinct is Bake, but like I think if someone took Merfolk Secret Keeper here and they showed that to me, I wouldn't be like, oh, you really screwed up. I think it'd be close.
I think it's super close. Like, because the Secret Keepers make each other better, like we keep talking about. Mm-hmm. But the only thing is we're not all in on Mill because we have Lochmere, Serpent, Sage of the Falls, and Fairy Vandal.
Yeah.
So, like, Mill is definitely still a way we're going to beat a lot of opponents, but we also have some pretty nice win conditions to win as a blue-black control deck.
For sure. So I think Bake into Pie just, we kind of just need, having it, if you are going to be playing a blue-black control deck, having just a way to deal with any creature once it hits play is really nice. And now there's another close pick. I like how the picks have been interesting even late into the draft because there's 3 good cards for our deck here.
Yeah. Forever Young combos so well with the Secret Keeper plan as well. Oh, yeah. It's probably like third for me of these 3 right now because you don't really want a lot of it, and you still have another pack to pick up one.
Yeah.
But it's pretty sweet when you play your Secret Keepers, mill them, chump block, and then or they use a pump spell to kill them, and attack through them, and then you just Forever Young them back and mill them again. It's kind of great.
I was playing a Mill Mirror, and I switched colors as my secondary color from red to black for the 2 Forever Youngs that I had in my sideboard, because in the Mill Mirror, I can get back my Secret Keepers and just put them on top and then mill my opponent.
Yeah, one of the last drafts I did on stream on Thursday, I 5-0'd with a blue-green mill, and I boarded in. I was blue-green, and originally I was going to splash Trapped in the Tower. I think I did for the first match, and then I realized I had 2 Forever Youngs in my sideboard, and I was like, wait, we should just splash black instead because like we have all these Secret Keepers, and like the Forever Young Secret Keeper thing will just be busted in this deck.
Exactly. Once you have Secret Keepers, you kind of want just ways to recur them. So Forever Young, Runaway Together, and turned into a pumpkin are like the 3 biggest ways, in my opinion, to do that. But I think it's mostly between these blue cards because, again, we can get a Forever Young later. And I kind of am leaning towards the Didn't Say Please here, just because we have so many ways to use our mana at instant speed. We have Fairy Vandal, Bake into a Pie, Lochmere Serpent, So Tiny, 2 Witching Wells, Opt. Like, we're going to be able to hold up mana a lot, and we already have the 2 Witching Wells to get card advantage. So I really like the Didn't Say Please over the Unexplained Vision here, even though it's close.
Completely agree. I don't even know that we want to play Unexplained Vision. We already have 2 Witching Wells. Mm-hmm. Unexplained Vision's a good card. It's just like we can draw cards with Sage of the Falls. We've got a great 6-drop to spend our mana on. Like we talked about when we looked at the Fairy Vandal, we just have a lot of card drawn. Yeah. So I think Didn't Say Please is kind of exactly what our deck wants.
Also, the Foulmire Knight is an instant speed. I don't know why Lochmere Serpent had to have Flash. It's like, why?
For standard, not for limited.
Yeah.
For limited, that card would be totally busted without Flash, and the Flash part is just like almost insulting.
It's almost insulting because now it eats a creature when it comes to play. What a great open.
Yeah, it is. But for standard, you would never put that card in a blue-black control deck in standard if it didn't have Flash.
Good point. Because you have to hold those mana.
Yeah, they don't care about us limited. For limited, the Flash is literally like, are you serious? It needs to eat a creature too.
It's like when they put things like can't be countered onto spells like this, and then the one time your opponent tries to cast it and you have a counter spell up, you're just like, why, world?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, but yeah, Didn't Say Please is a nice pickup here, and then just a Wishful Merfolk for the sideboard or the main deck, depending. Yep.
Yeah, it's the only card in our colors in this pack. I mean, we're committed to blue-black at this point.
Hengewalker is not going to make it, sadly. I got to kill a Hengewalker with a the Battle Fury, like the 2/1 red card, and that felt good. Eye Collector. Guess Lash over Lock the Wing Gargoyle.
Yeah, I mean, these cards don't matter. Yeah, we're not going to play Lash. We're not going to play Gargoyle. Like,
okay.
You can see we have plenty of playables. Like, we're not going to play those cards. That's a nice pickup.
That's a nice last pick card. Okie doke. And now a very interesting pick. There's a Merfolk, which we kind of want. I think this is definitely a card to consider. There's another Sage. Reef Soul. I don't think Golden Egg is close to those 3 cards. But yeah, those three are pretty interesting. And then there's an Enchanted Carriage that we wouldn't really want in this type of deck, but is a fine card normally. I think it's interesting because Sage goes down in value in multiples a little bit because there's only so much looting you can do, and we really need this Secret Keeper.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Carriage is a card I've liked a lot. I think it's an overperformer. I wouldn't consider it here.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, if you're a creature deck, if you're playing to attack, it's just a good 5-drop.
I agree completely. And also early in a draft, it gains the colorless bump where you're always just going to be able to play it. And, like, I was trying to kill it with my blue-black deck, and I was just like, well, I don't have Bacon to a Pie, so I guess so tiny and block with a bunch of things is my only way to get rid of it. So it can be really nice that it dodges removal, but not the pick here.
Also agree with what you said about Sage. It definitely goes down in value substantially in multiples. We would snap play too. Like if we took the Sage here, we're 100% going to play it. But the second Sage is substantially worse than the previous one because you will go through your whole deck. And also the main value in looting is turning excess lands into spells, not turning a spell into a slightly better spell. Yeah, exactly. And so if you have a Sage out, you're going to be able to loot away all your lands, turn them into spells. You don't need a second Sage out. So by all means, we would play 2 Sages, of course, but it does go down in value. Mm-hmm. And if you remember towards the end of the last pack, Secret Keeper Bacon to a Pie felt close. Bacon to a Pie is better than Reef Soul. To me, at this point, this is just take the Secret Keeper.
Yeah,
this is the third one. We have an Overwhelmed Apprentice. We have a lot of card drawing. I mean, I just think we want to be grabbing Secret Keepers whenever we can. Mm-hmm. We were in a rough spot because, I mean, it's a good spot. It's a good problem to have. But the Secret Keeper and the Bacon No Pie being in the same pack was like, do we want this excellent late game oriented removal spell for our blue-black control deck that really needs it? Or do we want our third Secret Keeper? Now, luckily, it's just a Reef Soul that we don't particularly need. Of course, a good, efficient removal. We'd love to play another 4 Reef Souls in our deck. Mm-hmm. But we don't particularly need it. It's not nearly as valuable as a Bacon No Pie. Yeah. So now I think we can grab that third Secret Keeper.
Just helps us end the game so much more quickly, and we already have a decent amount of removal now.
It blocks well too. It's not a mill spell. It's like a good early blocker to slow down your opponent's aggression, which is exactly what you want.
I have actively changed my drafting strategy when I'm playing aggressive decks to be able to punch through an 0-4. There's the 1-mana 1/1 that can get +2/+0 for 2 mana, and that card has gone up a decent amount for me just because it's relevant against Secret Keeper in a major way because they just have to chump with their Secret Keeper a lot of the time.
That's a mark of a good limited player, what you're describing, because the thing about limited is the commons all show up a lot, so the way they interact with each other is what determines their power level, not how good they would be in a vacuum.
Exactly.
So I think the biggest thing that holds people back in limited is they look at a card like the one you're talking about. I think it's called
Red Cap something.
Yeah,
Weaselback Rider, Weaselback, Weaselback Red Cap, I think.
Yeah, Weaselback Red Cap or something like that. But a card like that in most limited formats is bad because what's it going to do? You're going to spend mana to trade it with your opponent's 2-drop. In this format, since blue is so dedicated to control and mill, having your 2-drops and your 1-drops or your early drops being able to attack past Secret Keeper, the primary common for blue-black mill, is very valuable. So, I mean, I think that's excellent analysis right there. A lot of people would look at a card like Red Cap, Weaselback Red Cap, and go, this is unplayable. In most formats, it is. In this format, it's fine. Yeah. It's not amazing, but it's a serviceable early drop for red aggro decks in this format, largely because of Secret Keeper.
It's the type of card,
I love that.
It's the type of card that's a C-level card, but normally would be a D-level card or a card that you aren't going to play. But I just play it 2 copies in my deck, and I'm like, okay, this is a solid card. And also, cards like Two Unveiled Treefolk have been helpful for me helping push through Secret Keeper as well.
I definitely agree, but Treefolk is just a good card.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at that card.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the biggest drawback of a 6-drop? That it sits in your hand until you hit 6 lands, and then you may be too far behind. Well, if you're stuck on 4 lands and you have a lot to do, it doesn't sit in your hand and do nothing. You get to pay 4 on a turn and make a creature basically +2/+2 with haste, and then it can attack past things, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I agree with everything there, but Treefolk, I think, looks like a good card.
Yeah.
Treefolk, if you look at that card, you should think to yourself,
that's
in most formats, this would be a good card.
And then it just
but Weaselback, I really love your analysis, because in most formats, that would be an unplayable, and in this one, it's a solid playable.
I appreciate that. Let's go Secret Keeper and see what happens. Oh my gosh, another insane pick here. There's Sir Conrad and Epic Downfall and nothing even close. Then it goes off a cliff. But these are both really good cards.
Yeah, they're both excellent, and there are definitely a lot of decks. Like if we were black white at Knights, for example, we would take Sir Conrad. But given we're trying to deck our opponents, not really kill them with damage, I know Sir Conrad has 2 mana mill, but like in reality, it's still a creature. It's going to die to removal at a time. It's better with aggression. It's better if you can like curve out and then the opponent plays stuff. Then you play Sir Conrad and attack, and then no matter how they block, they die or they take
that's where I found it.
damage.
It's great against the mill deck.
Again, yeah, against the mill deck, exactly. And again, don't get me wrong. If this Epic Downfall wasn't in the pack, I would take Sir Conrad, and it would be in our deck, absolutely. Yeah. But given we have a blue-black control deck with a lot of card drawing and mill to close the game already, I think Epic Downfall is pretty clear over Conrad for us.
Especially because in our deck, Sir Conrad's damage mode is just not relevant because we don't, other than Lockmere Serpent attacking them sometimes, we don't really have a damage plan, or I guess Fairy Vandal could maybe attack them, but we don't really have a damage plan. So, like, the incidental ping doesn't, like, we're not pressuring them, so it doesn't really do anything. Like, we'll play Sir Conrad, and then they're just, like, at 20, and we're going to be milling them faster.
I completely agree. That's what I was trying to say. And it's still a good card in our deck. We would still take it over, like, most mediocre playable commons. We would definitely take Sir Conrad. We would definitely play it. But Epic Downfall is, like, hyper-efficient removal, and we have all this card drawing, and we're looking to play these long games. So Epic Downfall just hits our deck harder.
If this Epic Downfall were a Reeve Soul, would you take Reeve Soul over Sir Conrad here?
I feel like that would be close. I feel like then I'm not even sure.
That's where my mind went. That's why I was wondering what you would take, because I think it's really close with Reeve Soul specifically, because like Reeve Soul is like it like kind of draws similar. I kind of think of Reeve Soul whenever I see Epic Downfall, because same mana cost and it has the number 3 on it. But like I think that's a really close pick, and I think I might actually end up on Reeve Soul over Sir Conrad in that spot. But it's really close, and I'm not sure.
But for me, like, I think that would just be extremely close. But Epic Downfall, I mean, it just kills everything.
It's like, the first time I saw this card, I was like, wait, where's the downside? Like, because 3 is like such a low number. Normally this would say like 4 or something, but like this just kills everything you care about. Like, just a great card. And now, so there's a Forever Young and also another Didn't Say Please. And then there's an Enchanted Carriage, which we probably aren't playing. What do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, it feels close, just like it did the last time. I don't know. What are we Forever Younging? We've got 3 Secret Keepers. We've got an Apprentice. It's good with Falmir Knight. We don't have a lot of creatures total, though.
Yeah.
And our deck is really well built to be blue-black control, not just like Turbo Mill. Because, I mean, the Secret Keepers are nice 0/4 walls to block with. The Falmir Knight draws a card and trades, gives us a 2-for-1. Fairy Vandal will be a nice win condition that can win the game on its own. Lockmere Serpent is a nice win condition that can win the game on its own. So I think, given what we have, I'm inclined to Didn't Say Please.
Yeah, I think this is.
I think we just have a blue-black control deck with Mill as just one of the ways we're going to win.
Yeah, Didn't Say Please is like the best. Like, this is the best Didn't Say Please deck I've ever seen, simply because like Lockmere Serpent is flash. All of our cards have flash. And we just have like a bunch of ways to spend mana at instant speed. Because the big downside with a counterspell in limited is like you pass with 3 mana up, your opponent like spends mana pumping their red cap Mad Rider or whatever the card's name is, and then you just wasted your mana. But in our deck, if we pass with 3 mana up or 4 mana up, we could opt, we could Witching Well them, we could fire off a Foulmire Knight draw, we could like play Bacon to Pie on one of their creatures on end step. All these things that make Didn't Say Please even better in our deck than it would be in a conventional deck a lot of the time.
Yep, I agree, and that's a great analysis.
Okie doke, let's go with Didn't Say Please. And now, there's really not anything for us here. I mean, there's a Witch's Cottage, which I don't think we'd want, because we're heavier blue than black. And then there's a Griffin and a Wicked Guardian, and then nothing.
Yeah, there's no way we're going to play any of these cards.
Yeah, let's just take the Wicked Guardian. Yes. And now there's an Egg, there's a Bell, Frogify. Where are you at on Frogify? This card, it seems okay, but like not fantastic. I don't know. It feels okay, good in our deck because we have so many big creatures, like good creatures to block it.
Yeah, that's a card that traditionally hasn't been a very good effect in limited, but I think they made it in this set and at uncommon because it kind of overperforms compared to how it looks.
Yeah. And then there's
I'm not sure that I think I would take the golden.
I think I would just take the Egg because the life gain is just really nice, and it can fix our mana a little bit in a pinch.
Yeah, exactly. I think I would take the Egg too for that reason. It triggers the Fairy Vandal. The life gain is nice.
It makes our deck
with
a little smaller.
With the Witching Wells, 2 eggs, and an opt, we might get to 16 lands.
Yeah.
So I think I would just take the Egg.
Yeah, even over Unexplained Vision because we don't need the card draw because we have Witching Wells and like sages and Lockmere. So yeah.
And with two didn't say please. We want another copy of Witching Well if we can get it, but we don't want any unexplained vision. We don't, as you talked about, didn't say please is at its best when you can leave your mana up, and then if they play something good, you counter it. If they play something bad, you do something else, and you're not like forced to counter it, or you don't spend your mana on anything. So unexplained vision being a sorcery, it has negative synergy with didn't say please.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Whereas as you talked about, Witching Well and Foulmire Knight have great synergy.
Yeah, it's one of those cases where this is why you can't just draft on a pick order list, because you might be like in a vacuum. I would say like for example, like maybe not this specific pick, but like you might be thinking, well, Unexplained Vision is a really good card, and I want to play this in my deck. But it's like kind of how Scalding Cauldron gets a bump early in a draft for just always being a C in your deck. Golden Egg, similar boat, but like in this particular instance, Unexplained Vision has to get a bump down during the draft because it doesn't work well with our whole like play at instant speed plan. So that's just the type of thing you always have to be evaluating when you're playing.
Oh, I'm completely with you. I hate pick order lists. I think that, what you want to do is learn what makes the cards better and worse, given like each other, how they interact with each other, what your deck's trying to do and stuff like that. So you can, make the picks like kind of on the fly. Mm-hmm. If you stick to a pick order list, like you said, you're going to end up in all these awkward spots where like the way the cards are in a vacuum isn't how they are in that draft based on what you have.
Another thing with pick order lists is like it's really hard to compare the cards because it's so contextual, and also you very rarely have like a pack one pick one situation where you're picking from the best blue common versus another best blue common. And even if you do have that pick, a lot of the time it's so close that even if you technically make the pick that, say, you had spent half an hour thinking about it, you would like make the other pick, it's not going to be by enough of a margin to be worth the time invested.
Yeah, it just doesn't really matter. There's not enough value. Whereas understanding what makes the cards better or worse and what they synergize with and everything can allow you to draft good decks in almost every draft.
Definitely. And now there's an opt here. Again, I think that's just a clear pick. There's a Festive Funeral. Maybe
I was about to say, I don't think this pick is clear. So it's an instant. It synergizes really well with our Didn't Say Please Witching Well plan, and we're pretty good at milling them, right?
Well, this is our graveyard.
Yeah.
So maybe,
but so will we put cards in our graveyard? Witching Well goes to the graveyard, Foulmire Knight goes to the graveyard, Opt goes to the graveyard.
We could mill ourselves with a Secret Keeper one time.
Yeah. I think it's
maybe it's actually much closer than I thought it was initially. Especially because we don't have, like, we have Epic, Reeve Soul, Bacon Topai, and then a couple counters and a Sojourning. So I guess we have like 4 removal spells and 2 counter spells, but like it's not like, and I guess Lockmere Serpent is kind of like a removal spell in a lot of cases, but it's not like an absurd number of removal spells.
Yeah, I mean, I know Festive Funeral is not that good to begin with. Like, it's pretty expensive and pretty situational. Like, you don't end up with that many cards in your yard that often. But again, the games go long. A lot of our cards in this deck are spells. Like, we don't have a lot of creatures that are going to sit and play.
Yeah.
Didn't Say Please goes to the graveyard when you cast it. Reeve Soul and Epic Downfall go to the graveyard when you cast it. We can sack Golden Egg and put a card in the yard. We can sack Witching Well to put a card in the yard. And then we want things to do at instant speed when we leave our mana up for Didn't Say Please. Yeah. So I think for me, I think it's Festive Funeral
I actually
here.
like the Festive Funeral too. Now that I think about it more. The thing with opt also is it gets less valuable in multiples, because when you opt into another opt, it just feels kind of like clunky, and like, sure, we'd probably play it because we have such a powerful bomb, but like, you don't want to just be spinning your wheels and finding more random tiny opts.
Yeah, I mean, we would play it, but it's true that it gets worse in multiples. But this is a deck that wants its opts. We would definitely play a second or third opt even. But like, all of our cards go to the graveyard. So I think Festive Funeral with our Didn't Say Please. Like you said, we can mill ourselves with Secret Keeper if we really want to. And just in general, when you're a spells deck, your cards go to the graveyard. When you're a creature deck, your cards stay and play more. We're a spells deck. Exactly. So I think Festive Funeral is just offering our deck a decent amount.
I like this card in this spot. I just want to take a moment to ask you what you think of these 3 cards, because I just like generally, I mean, we obviously are in a white deck, so we're not going to play them, but I just kind of am curious on your thoughts on Silver Flame Ritual and like the Prophet of the Peak, because they seem like they're cards that I have had interesting experiences and opinions on.
So I like Silver Flame Ritual a lot. When the problem with white go wide, like Inspired Charge type decks, has always been like that card is just not good enough. The fact that Silver Flame Ritual basically sticks around, and it does stick around, you can just try and, go wide with small creatures. And then, when you play that card with 4 creatures out, you just got a 4/4 haste effectively. And it's often a lot better than that because it goes wide and it enables small creatures that would have been blanked otherwise. Mm-hmm. So I'm a pretty big fan of the Silver Flame Ritual in those white decks with a bunch of small creatures.
For sure. I think it's one of those cards you don't need too many copies of, but it can definitely perform in your like 17, 18 creature
Oh,
decks.
oh yeah. I don't want 4 copies in my deck. I'm looking to play 1 to 2.
Yeah.
But like I said, the 1 to 2 copies I have, I think can often be a strong turn 5 or 6 play to like kind of enable all your small creatures as they start to fall behind.
And what about Prophet of the Peak? Is Prophet of the Peak a card you have been playing, or do you just generally like relegate it to the sideboard? Because one of the things I experienced with Prophet of the Peak is it just lines up well against a lot of the commons, because the commons aren't like absurdly big. Like even Two Unveiled Tree Folk is a 6/5, so Prophet trades with it, and then it can punch through those Secret Keepers, the 1/4s that are running around. It can trade with like Sir Conrad and stuff like that. So I've been relatively like fine playing a copy of this as the top end of my like control deck, or if I need one. Like
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, it's better than it looks, but it's not good. Like, it's still like it's like a serviceable 6-drop, and you don't want a lot of 6-drops in your deck. So if you didn't get any like Lockmere Serpents, then you can definitely play a Prophet of the Peak in a deck like we have. But I wouldn't want a lot of it.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. So yeah, we're just gonna take the Festive Funeral, and wow, another interesting pick. There's the Drown in the Lock, which is obviously great, and then there's Runaway Together to reset Secret Keeper. I mean, maybe not that interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of interesting as a pick because Secret Keeper bouncing it is really good. But probably just
I agree that our deck. I agree our deck wants Runaway Together. Like Runaway Together is a card our deck would take pretty aggressively, but we have 3 Secret Keepers. If we mill them with Drown in the Lock, after that it's just 2 mana counter spell or kill a creature.
Yeah, just like too good. Yeah, I mean, I wish that it was like Drown in the Lock, like was like slightly worse in this spot, just so that it would be an more interesting pick. But like at the same time, I'm glad it's super good because our deck is fantastic. And now
our deck's awesome.
Another Didn't Say Please slots right in. We don't really need Moonlit Scavenger. And here's the card that we were talking about earlier, in case people need to like identify it with the artwork on the card. But yeah, another Didn't Say Please. And then wow, Reeve Soul came back. I guess that was the correct pick. I guess.
I mean, I don't know.
That's not going to happen in paper, folks. There's also Golden Egg Wheeling, which probably shouldn't happen either, because just any deck can play this and it'll be fine in their deck. But yeah, easy Reeve Soul.
People always ask me how I feel about bot draft. It's like I don't mind bot draft. The bots just got to get better at drafting.
Exactly. If the bots take competent cards, like. I think the one thing that'd be cool is if the bots like adapted, like if a card, so that all the cards like got taken at like relative frequencies or played at relative frequencies. I don't know. So like that if they saw that decks were playing 5 Reeve Souls, they adjust their estimates up on when they take it. That type of thing. Now there's Corridor Monitor and also Lost Legion. What do you like between those two? I think Corridor Monitor is probably better because we're heavier blue, but Lost Legion's a better card.
I agree. My logic for Lost Legion, partially when I was talking about it, was that we were still not committed to things, and we still had a shot to play Knights and stuff. Lost Legion being a difficult to cast 3-drop, like, yeah, we have broken cards. Like, maybe we could play it, but we probably don't want it.
Yeah, I like just getting that. Man, what a
Neither of these cards should make our deck, but maybe one of them is our last playable.
And then Forever Young came back, so just...
Yeah, I agree with you said about Eye Collector. Pretty much no matter how much mill you have, you don't need that card. Maybe you board it in against like another blue-black mill deck or something, where you don't need each of your cards to do a lot, and you just want cheap cards that get out in front. Like with Eye Collector.
Yeah.
But like, under no circumstances is that a card I want to put in my main deck.
Have you ever played Roving Keep? And if so, did it work out?
Yeah, once or twice in like a ramp deck that needed a finisher. I mean, it's a pretty weak 7-mana finisher,
I agree.
but it's not like it won't get the job done, right? Like a 7/7 trample can end a game. So if your deck just like, grinds well, ramps well, but doesn't finish well, I don't think it's embarrassing to put that card in your deck, but I think you'd rather not.
The problem I have with Roving Keep is that a lot of the time when you've stabilized, part of that is like you'll be ahead on board, or you'll have something like big on board, and you'll have like a counter spell in your hand. And the fact that this can't like start clocking them while you're keeping up counter magic is a big downside. Like I'd take Prophet of the Peak over this every single time.
Oh yeah, I agree.
As like
every single time. I don't think that's finisher. Yeah, and we were calling Prophet of the Peak, fine, that's it for 6 mana, but not exciting. So Roving Keep is more like desperation mode. It's more like I need to be able to finish because that's what my deck is lacking, but my deck is good at like stabilizing and all of that. But you don't want to put Roving Keep into your deck.
Exactly. So do you think this is a 17 land deck still? Because we do have like a lot of ways to scry early with the Ops and Witchings, and the Golden Eggs or cantrips. Would you go down to 16 with this deck?
Yeah, we want to play 16. All of our cards cost no mana, so like, and they scry, like you said, so we can dig up lands for Blockmeter Serpent.
And do you like Mystic Sanctuary in this deck if we're playing 16 lands?
Well, I would cut a swamp.
Yeah, for
Even though our
sure.
deck needs black, like our blue cards are what find our other cards. So like if we don't have swamps in our opening hand, we have 2 Witching Wells and an Opt and an Overwhelmed Apprentice. So we have 4 cheap blue cards to dig up a swamp, but we don't have black cards really that dig up an island. I mean, we have Falmer Knight for 3 mana or Forever Young for 2 mana, do nothing.
Yeah. Do you like a 9-7 split here? I might even be tempted to go 10-6 split.
Yeah, I think 9/7, especially because we have 2 golden eggs, so that does give us a backdoor to get a blue.
Yeah, we also need double black for the Foulmire on turn 4 if we go for that.
Yeah, it's definitely closer to 10/6 than it's closer to 10/6 than it is 8/8. But I think 9/7 is where I would go.
Yeah, the other consideration is for a 10/6 is because we really want to have double or even triple blue early. That's like the other big consideration for me. Because if we have Secret Keeper in our opening hand, we want to be able to like weave it in easily. And if we have like 2 Secret Keepers in our opening hand plus an Overwhelmed Apprentice or a Witching Well, it just gets awkward if we have a Swamp clutching that up.
I think that's a valid point. But we also can just turn 1 mill 4, turn 2 play the Secret Keeper.
For sure.
And then also we do have a lot of cheap black cards. Like we have 2 Reap Souls we might want to play on turn 2.
For sure.
I mean, you're probably not playing Epic Downfall on turn 2 ever. But Forever Young, we might need to cycle it a land drop. Bacon No Pie is double black. So I mean, I think it's a 9/7, but I see your point. Like I think that, like I said, I think it's closer to 10/6 than it is to 8/8. But my inclination is still 9/7.
With only 8 islands, would you cut the Mystic Sanctuary? Because that's kind of what I feel like doing.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, cut it. Also because for the reason you talked about, we're going to use our blue early.
Yeah.
Right. Like we want our blue to come into play untapped on turn 1. We don't. Let's say you have no 1 mana cards in your deck, right? Yeah. Then anytime Mystic Sanctuary is in your opening hand, you can just put it in play tap turn 1, and there's no cost to that. But we have how many cards to spend a blue on turn 1?
We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I guess So Tiny's not really, but we have 7 cards, which is like a quarter of our not a quarter, it's like a third of our spells.
Yeah, so that's the reason you're saying that we should consider 10/6, and you're 100% right. I think I still like 9/7 because 9 is still a lot, but I want my 9 islands to come into play untapped. I want to use an island on turn 1 untapped. I do not want to put a tap Mystic Sanctuary in play on turn 1.
And also like we don't have any like back-breaking spells to get because this doesn't get back like Witching Well, which normally would be like a solid card. This is only gets instants or sorcery, so like we'll get back like it didn't say please bake into a pie. Like sure, those are good, but
we have Drown in the Lock, Epic Downfall. I mean, we have a lot of good spells. We have good spells. That's not really the issue. Yeah. I just think like the issue is mostly that like we're going to use our blue mana on turn 1 virtually every single time. So if Mystic Sanctuary is our island that we draw and we have to put it in play tapped on turn 1, that's a big cost.
It's also hard to trigger in our deck with only 8 other islands because we have to have like half of our islands in play almost before it comes on, which is like slower than and also so the tapped ability comes in a lot more than I often play these cards only when I have like say a 9 island base plus a Mystic Sanctuary or a 10 island base plus a Mystic Sanctuary, that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The 2 main factors are how good you are at triggering it, and then how much a tap land hurts you. And in this case, with only 8 other islands, we're not great at triggering it, and a tap land hurts us as much as possible because we want to spend a blue every single turn 1. Yeah. So I think it's a clear cut for this deck.
I think the last cut is Corridor Monitor.
Yep, I agree.
Okie doke. That is going to do it for the deck build. Do you ever have preferences on basic lands? I know you don't really care about that type of thing.
No, I don't care.
the beautiful selection that I have available here, I usually go with this island just because I like this island, and then I usually match that island with this swamp because they're both from Mirage.
My actual thing in tournaments, people, if you have observed from time to time, I'll be like over by the basic land box for a while. I care that all my lands are the same picture. I don't care which picture.
That's actually hilarious. You just like
I don't know.
Camped out at the basic lands box, just like finding, like shuffling through. Whenever I go to a basic land box, I always look for the white bordered ones because that's going to give me the maximum value against my opponent getting tilted. It's a strict strategy play. of opponent.
Yeah, for me,
getting
it's just
tilted.
somewhere in the back of my head. If I don't have the same picture, then if they ever see my hand or something, I don't know which island or swamp they saw, and then
Yeah.
if I play the wrong one, there's a chance they still know that I'm holding an island when they shouldn't. So I
Yeah.
just want my lands to all be the same picture,
Yeah.
but I'm not really like into like art. So
Yeah,
whichever
exactly.
picture
It
doesn't
just
really matter to me.
reduces mental load as well. But yeah, I think this is a keeper for sure. Like,
Of course.
fantastic hand. Do you have the pet enabled on MTG Arena?
I don't think so.
Sad day. The pet. I like this pet. I also like the fox pet. Just lead with island probably. Yeah, no reason not to. I don't know. The pets are kind of like just small things. But yeah,
If they ever let me import a picture of my cats, I'll probably do it.
sounds like an excellent plan. I mean, we can't counter anything, but no reason not to play our swamp.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you could import pictures, that would be like the next level. That would be like, but with that amount of coding, they could enable human drafting on MTG Arena.
Can only hope.
One can hope. Do you think? Yeah, we probably just reef-soul this, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Starts to fuel
Definitely.
our cards, our Drown in the Lock, our Festive Funeral, and
We have a handful of removal,
Yeah.
so we don't have to be like judicious with it. We have nothing else to do, so we don't feel to take damage.
Exactly. Oh man, opponent is clearly also on that, clearly choosing their lands deliberately. Okay, so start with the Witching Well to see what's going on. Witching Well sacrificing also fuels our Drown in the Lock, which is nice, and our Festive Funeral. Okay, I like keeping a Swamp and Foulmire Knight here, because we do have we have the Bacon Pie that we want to cast. I think
definitely.
we'd probably rather have the Swamp first.
I mean, we definitely don't want to miss land drop 5, I don't think, for Foulmire Knight. Next turn, though, we might just sack Witching Well and play Foulmire Knight, potentially. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen. It depends if they give us a target for Bacon Pie or Epic Downfall. So does the order matter? No, because we could always just play the island. So, yeah. So I think, you want the Swamp on top.
I like Swamp because then next turn we could...
You have more options.
Yeah, we could hold up Bacon Pie and Witching Well, which is just like added upside, or we could like double spell. We could Epic Downfall something and hold up Drown in the Lock. Just gives us
and we don't really want to cast the Foulmire Knight, I guess. Anyway, we can. Well, so if we wanted to, actually, maybe the Foulmire Knight should have been on top, because let's say we don't have anything else we want to do, we would play the Foulmire Knight for 3 mana, draw the Swamp, and then play the Swamp and play the Foulmire Knight.
Okay, but then we don't have Bacon. I guess that's interesting. Oh no. Well. Shucks.
Yeah, that's not great for us.
Probably get rid of Drown and Festive.
Definitely, I was thinking we get rid of Festive. I'm not sure about Drown. It's pretty on after we discard these 2 cards, right?
Yeah, but are we going to get rid of Epic Downfall over it? I guess Epic Downfall is a little
That's what I was thinking. I think we get rid of Epic Downfall over it, because Drown and Bake are like unconditional removal now. Even though Drown is highly conditional, this is going to put us to like 3 cards in our yard, Witching Well makes 4.
And we'll probably cast Bake.
So I think I would get... Yeah. A Funeral would be my first choice for sure. And then I think I would get rid of Epic Downfall over Drown in the Lock.
Yeah, I hope they don't have a second one of those, but I guess we could just Witching Well in response.
Yeah. So it was a close choice last turn, and I didn't even think of it in the brief time period. But this is why there would have been some logic to doing it the other order, because now, with nothing else to do, we could have paid 3 for the Foulmire Knight, drawn that Swamp, and then played the Swamp and played the Foulmire Knight out of our hand.
Yeah.
Or off the bench.
I think cashing in Witching Well is probably just better than that, though.
Yeah, it's close either way. It's not a big loss, certainly.
For sure. Because I like being able to do the Foulmire Knight thing at instant speed as well.
Especially when we have a Drown and Lock and Bacon Pie in hand. An instant counterspell and instant removal.
It also commits our mana, because we can't... we have to do that on our turn because we want to make our land drop. Whereas this way we get to hold up our mana and stay flexible.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's close.
Yeah, definitely.
We wouldn't be taking damage. We'd be able to block the Flutter Fox, but...
Yeah.
All in all, it's close.
If we were planning ahead too, though, they could just play a Golden Egg or something. But I think it's close. I think this game is going mediocre. Deeply mediocre.
I think this game is going pretty well for us. I mean, getting Reapered sucked, but we're about to draw more cards, like 2 off Witching Well, 1 off Foulmire Knight. We've still got an unconditional removal and a counterspell in our hand, and our deck is built for the late game.
I'm so sad they had a second Reaper. No.
Yeah, so we only have 3 cards in the yard, right? So we can't. Oh, yeah, it's 7. No, it's 4. So we could counter it if we had 4, but we only have 3.
It only counters creatures.
Oh, what? No, it
Oh, never
doesn't.
mind. Oh, it only destroys creatures. My bad.
Right. It counters any
It
spell.
counters
I'm
anything.
pretty sure the converted mana cost here is 4 because they're playing the adventure, but we still only have 3.
So I think we just cast Witching Well in response so we can know better what to
So
discard.
yeah, we don't have any other choices.
Yeah. We don't want to discard both.
But if we could counter it, I think we would. We don't want to discard 2 cards here.
Yeah, we would definitely do that. I think we discard the Swamp for sure, and maybe even just bake into a pie.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would discard the swamp and the bake. The only thing we're giving up with the bake is the food token, because Drown in the Lock is going to destroy any creature now, and Foulmire Knight is a 2-for-1, and we just discarded 4 cards, so I think we really need that.
Yeah, I think
I would probably Foulmire Knight, I think.
I think I my initial
no, you're right.
My inclination
you're
is
right.
just mill them, play the Secret Keeper, and then hold up Foulmire and Drown in the Lock.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right, because Secret Keeper blocks Fox, so you're right.
So it shuts us down as well, equally well.
Yeah, I look. Yeah, just the Secret Keeper.
That was a solid mill.
I just keep wanting to get that Foulmire Knight off.
Me too.
Because like we need a card.
Man, this is like the classic of them just destroying us with Reaper, and then other matchups in this best of one, they're just gonna have Reaper be like terrible.
And we're fine.
The plague of best of one sometimes. Oh, nice. For some reason, I find the animation of petting the cat oddly satisfying. It just like has little hearts. I don't know. 4, 5, 6. The Reapers are far away, or at 1 mana away.
Yeah.
Getting up to a big hand size so these things can't attack past Foulmire Knight is kind of a nice idea. So like maybe we don't even play lands. Huh. Do you want to kill?
Interesting.
Do we kill the Flutterfox?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. It's interesting because I would obviously never use a card as good as Drown the Lock to like counter that or something. But if you kill it, then they lose both they lose the fairy guide mother.
My thought process behind this too is like, how does our deck like react to a 1/1 flyer over the next like 10 turns, and like potentially Flutterfox as well being a flyer, and we don't have all that many ways because we have to kind of use removal on every flyer they have because we don't have like reach creatures.
Yeah, I think it's fine to kill it in response to the guide mother.
Killing it makes sense to me. Because we can kind of jam the ground relatively well. We do have to delay casting Foulmire Knight again. But it's just a nice 2-for-1 to help pull us back on cards.
Yeah, well, if we don't draw anything else to do, we can always just cast it on our main phase and then play it.
But yeah, I think that one's kind of close, but yeah, we'll just Foulmire. I think holding this island kind of makes sense.
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course. With the double Reapers, like you said, we need to get up to 3 cards if we can. Not over playing good cards, but... anytime it's excess lands at this point, we definitely want to hold it.
Yeah, for sure. The only card we have that costs more than 5 is the Lock Mirror Servant.
Yeah.
And we can always just play the land from our hand. Because they don't have 3 of this card. At least that's the hope.
No, and we still have another Witching Well to draw 2 cards if we find that.
Yeah. Okay, opt first, probably.
You might want to wait and get information as to what they do on their turn, because are you really drawing anything off that opt to play right now?
We could draw Witching Well, which would scry us. And we would
You don't even want to play the island to play the Witching Well that bad, right? So I think I would just use the black on Foulmire and then just pass, and then you can opt into their turn after you see what they do.
Yeah, that makes sense as well. This game's going okay. We have a decent amount of removal for these Reapers eventually. Unfortunately.
Yeah. I think we're gonna. I'm not gonna say we're gonna win, but I think we're a favorite to win this game.
Yeah, they are at 24 cards currently, so not super ahead on the mill train.
Yeah, but we also have our win conditions. Like if we draw our Lockmere Serpent, like that's a lot better than a Reaper.
Yeah, of course. Also, being able to have a decent number of cards in hand against these Reapers is going to be good. Okay, so they didn't do anything worthwhile, so we can just opt now.
Yeah. Pretty much no matter what they did, we were going to opt in a turn. I just think it was worth seeing what they did.
Is Golden Egg worth keeping?
Yeah, I would just keep it. It's a free card. It's 3 life.
Yeah. It also adds a turn to their clock if they do hit us with this over and over. Reef Soul does not kill Reaper of Night. But
yeah, but Foulmire Knight does.
Definitely have to keep up double blue for our Didn't Say Pleases.
Yep.
So Tiny is so good. Oh my gosh, I love So Tiny. We're not going to use it right now because we can block him with Foulmire Knight currently.
Yep.
But, yeah. And we have good mana, so we can just cash this in for 3 life whenever we want, pretty much.
Oh, yeah. We don't do anything else with food, yeah. Whenever we have 2 available mana, we'll just take our 3 life and move about our business.
I hope they just
Definitely
attack
agree.
and don't realize that it doesn't have flying. Because we trade this every time. The next level plays.
Yeah.
That was amusing.
Well, that's probably what you said. They probably didn't realize we could block it.
Yeah, that's the classic. I always forget that it doesn't get flying. Like the reason I know that to hold cards is because there was a game where I should have held cards and I didn't. But now
That's how we all learn all this stuff. I've lost several flyers to like Trebuchet and stuff like that. I mean, that's what it is. When the set first comes out, you learn what the cards do by playing.
Dang, the ultimate like strategy though is when my opponent attacks into my Trebuchet, I'm always like, do they have a combat trick or are they like just ignorant? Like it's the classic thought process. So I think we spend 2 mana to use the egg. Do we want to so tiny this?
I wouldn't. I would just sack the egg. See what you draw. I mean, look. I mean, there's a very high chance we're gonna so tiny that, but it's 1 mana.
Yeah.
You know, it has flash.
So tiny is so good.
Yeah.
Okie doke. So we'll just Secret Keeper them.
Yep. There's no reason to hold it. I mean, it's not like we have Lucky Clover in our deck.
Yeah.
Wait, it's not gonna get any better.
It's not like they're playing around counter magic, so we can probably just play the Secret Keeper out. Man, that's another great mill. I know.
Yeah, that was nice.
I saw that. I know it doesn't actually like shouldn't affect your plays at all, but like it always feels nice when you hit their Barrow Witches and their Foreboding Fruits. Like all 4 of those cards are a pain.
It doesn't affect your plays, but it does change your EV. Like if we would have just milled 4 lands, we're looking to deck them. They're going to draw more spells. I mean, it's nice. Like we're happy about what got milled. You know. Yeah.
The ultimate sadness was I was playing the mill mirror, and my opponent. It was like late game. We were both playing mill decks. And my opponent, I think they milled Midnight Clock, Covetous Urge, my Merfolk Secret Keeper, and my Forever Young when I had 16 cards in my deck. And then I was like, well, those were all 4 of my outs, and I can't win anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It never changes your plays because, you know, it's just randomly moving around cards until it actually happens. And then if you mill 4 great cards, like your chance of winning went up compared to if you milled 4 lands. So we can be happy about that,
exactly.
About our great luck.
Our pure, I don't know what you're saying about luck. That was all skill. I planned that out from the beginning. Do we just so tiny it now and keep?
Yeah, so tiny it. We're not waiting for a better target for so tiny.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, they already played this turn pre-combat. Just another Reaper, which is a good card, but you know, so tiny the one that's attacking us now.
Let me just pass.
And we do have 1 Forever Young, right?
We do. So I think we.
Okay, so start chump.
Yeah, we could definitely want to chump. I agree.
I mean, there's only 19 cards in our deck, and several of them even are like Witching Well type things. So, I mean, we definitely want to be chump blocking with the Secret Keepers if we get the opportunity.
Also,
as long as we haven't used our Forever Young yet.
We'll probably Reef Soul this thing because that could be really annoying getting through our ground defenses.
Yeah.
And we don't have.
Yeah, if they played that on turn 3, I don't know whether we'd Reef Soul it or not. But given they're not holding any other small creatures, they have 8 mana. It's the end.
Exactly.
You know, toward the end of the game.
It's just top deck mode kind of, and they have 2 food, so that's 6 damage that we can't deal with a Secret Keeper chump block. So, and that nice little backup for anything else they might have that's scary.
This is one of those spots where it looks like it's not going well for us because we're running out of creatures and they have a Reaper. But the thing is, like, we're still at 18 and they're going to deck. And if we draw Forever Young, the game's pretty much over. And if we draw Lockmare Serpent, the game's over. If we draw Witching Well, that should draw us into the things we need. Like, I like our position a lot.
Yeah, me too. Do we chump the Secret Keeper this turn, or do we wait in case they play like a 3/3 after combat?
I'd probably chump because we'll just didn't say please anything at this point anyway.
Good point.
I don't think we're really looking to save didn't say please. We're not like it is like I'm saying I like our position, but it is still, you know, like a good game. We're not just holding on to didn't say please for any bombs or anything like that.
Yeah,
we're gonna fire didn't say please off at anything decent.
We also have 2 more didn't say
play 1 land.
Yeah.
Play 1 land now.
Island or swamp? Probably.
I don't know, probably island.
I'm trying to think. Sure I'm trying to remember exactly what Lockmere Serpent does, and like which one we'd rather sacrifice. I think island gives it unblockable, and swamps.
You'd rather stack swamps, yeah.
And swamps.
So it's a sack of blue, and Lockmere Serpent can't be blocked until end of turn. Sack a swamp, and you draw a card and gain a life.
Yeah, I like playing the island though in case we draw a second didn't say please or a Merfolk Secret Keeper, because then we would want to Because with our third Merfolk Secret Keeper, we'd want to cast both halves in the same turn and then
Yeah, it's fine. I think all that matters is getting land 6 in play. If we draw Lochmere Serpent, we could always play the Swamp then.
Yeah, I think we want to be at the have the 6th land, because then if we draw Lochmere Serpent, we can go Lochmere Serpent, play Swamp, and then sack the Swamp to gain a life and draw a card.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it matters that you get land 6 in play. I don't think it matters which.
Yeah. Okay, I think we counter this.
Yes, definitely. They can't really be sandbagging anything at this point. I mean, maybe a removal spell, but definitely not any threats. And, like I said, I like our position, but we are taking 4 a turn. We're not going to let them increase that clock, by an extra 3 a turn.
Man, how are they ever casting Slaying Fire?
I mean, not for Adamant, but I guess they just figure, Tournament
Grounds doesn't tap for it.
Yeah, I don't know.
That might be a slight oversight.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. Tournament Grounds has done... They have 3 copies of it. That's actually kind of cool. I've never seen someone with that many copies. But it's, much worse than I thought it was initially.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for, splashing red knights in a black-white knight deck, but it's not good for splashing Slaying Fire. You're right. I have no idea how they're casting that.
Okay, now we can play our Swamp. Because we do have Witching Well, so we want to get lands into play.
Yes. I would not hold more than 2 lands. That's... Yeah. Definitely, I don't think it matters whether we play Island or Swamp, but you should certainly keep playing lands as you draw them now.
Yeah, of course. This is a little unfortunate that we just need to find our Forever Young to win. I think we just win on the spot.
Or Witching Well, or Lochmere Serpent.
Man, when we flash in Lochmere Serpent...
Even the 3rd Secret Keeper. I'm not sure if we draw the 3rd Secret Keeper. What are they at? About 6-7 cards left in their deck?
They're at 9.
9?
Oh, no.
Because we get another Chump Block. And we already have a mill 3 for the next spell they play if they play anything. So if we draw, Secret Keeper, that may be enough to win.
Do we play the island here?
For now, you can't really do anything, but I would play another island, because if they Reaper us, we'll just counter it. So you don't really need to hold lands at this point.
Well, the thing I'm thinking about with the island is if we mill them, we're going to have 2 cards in hand, and then we don't want this Reaper to have flying, because we want to be able to chump it with our Secret Keeper.
You're right. Yeah, if we play an island and we play a Didn't Say Please, and then we play whatever we draw on the following turn, that would leave us with exactly 2 cards. You're right. Hold the 2 islands.
So we would die.
My mistake.
It's all good. I hope that we draw something good next turn. That's the hope.
I mean, we just need to draw basically anything. Yeah. If we draw a Secret Keeper, a removal spell that works, or Forever Young, or Lochmere Serpent, we just need to draw literally a non-land that we can cast, basically.
That would be nice if we drew a non-land. Oh, yes.
Yes, that's an excellent draw.
Also, it mills them 2, and then our 2 Didn't Say Pleases can finish them off.
Yeah, that's an excellent draw.
I think we might want to consider playing this... No.
No, you can't for the same reason. Because then if you play a single Didn't Say Please, we can't block it.
I'm so sad. Ultimate choke on playing the Swamp versus the island there.
Yeah.
It's crazy that that's going to be a huge factor.
Well, you have to Didn't Say Please that. If they have the second removal, then we lose.
Yeah, if I played island instead of Swamp, though. Oh, man.
Well, it's not... I mean, yes, but no, because if we counter another removal, we'd only have 2 cards left in our hand, and then we would still die to the Reaper anyway.
No, what I'm... Oh, good point.
So don't beat yourself up.
Okay, we keep Lochmere Serpent.
Yeah, of course.
It's a nice card. And then we just kind of hope that they have all lands in hand or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what they're holding. I mean, they just played a bacon to pie. Creatures would be in play. I mean, they probably have some lands in hand.
They have
I don't know if they have a way to remove our 1/2 or not. Kind of unfortunate.
4.
The order we drew our cards here wasn't great. I mean, like I said, when I liked our position, we had Forever Young, Overwhelmed Apprentice, Secret Keeper, Lochmere Serpent. We had Witching Well, so many great draws. Our draw steps were basically, land, Didn't Say Please, land, Didn't Say Please.
Sad day. Yeah, that was not the most ideal series of draws.
Nothing we could have done. Even if you had played that island, we could counter that, and they'd have no cards in their deck, but they'd still kill us with the Reaper this turn. So nothing you could have done.
Yeah, it's all good. That guy needed
That's
it.
still great.
Our deck is
we'll
still
get
fantastic.
on our win streak.
We just need the win streak. We're giving opponents a chance.
We got a little unlucky there, but
it's all a mind game. We're just letting the Magic Arena gods know. Okay, this is another great hand. Turn 1 Witching Well. Secret Keeper's a solid.
I wish that in best of one you had the choice play or draw, because I would choose to draw with this deck like every time.
Oh yeah, that would be fantastic. Gingerbread, I swear.
It's like,
Huh, that was a good draw.
yeah, just all 1 mana O4s and 2 mana black removal. Like, we don't need to be on the play at all.
Yeah, I think Overwhelmed Apprentice beats out Witching Well by a lot here. Get that.
Oh yeah, it saves us life, and I mean we need like they're both scry too, and this one just saves us life.
Those are both good cards to keep, I think.
Yep, and they're in the right order.
Yeah, because we want to be able to get the Secret Keeper Mill and the Witching Wells. I do we? Yeah, we do the Witching Well scry, I think. Maybe, or I think we just double the Merfolk Secret Keeper so we get the full value from the scry because we already know what's on top.
Yeah, I mean we can see what they do. I mean honestly, we might just Reeve Soul the Gingerbread here. Like our deck has so much removal that I really don't think we need to like be that judicious with it. I think we want to just save life total where we can when we have a hand like this.
Yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily want to use like Bacon of Pie on Gingerbread right now, but I would just Reeve Soul it.
You would Reeve Soul. I think it's kind of interesting that we kind of force them to spend mana on it every turn.
Yeah, the thing is, all like life total just translates to turns in the late game. Like, think about that last game we played. Like, if we had one more turn, we win, right? Like, we just deck them. Like, I think at this point, it's just a more effective play to Reeve Soul the Gingerbread than anything else. I understand that Gingerbread's not that good, and it's not that good in the early game, and like we're not scared of it. That's all true. But our hand has a card drawing spell and 2 other removal.
For sure, and also the Secret Keeper can like blank other small creatures like these Beloved Princesses all day long. Man, what is going on in their deck is the real question. So I like kind of just wanted to mill them, but I also I want to get the Witching Well into play as well because then we can hold up a lot of
even though you want to get the Witching Well into play, this turn is just mill them and then pass because you have Drown in the Lock now.
Yeah, for sure.
After you mill them, we can counter like any bomb rare or anything that would actually beat us, and we can always cast the Secret Keeper next turn. I mean, or the Witching Well next turn. It's not a big deal.
So they have a couple Guide Mothers. I haven't seen any, like, all that glitters. Okay, let's see what they get. Drown in the Lock's also kind of nice if they go for an Aura on Beloved Princess, because I feel like you only play this if you have, like, auras or equipments.
Yeah, you gotta have some ways to enhance them. Definitely agree with that.
Okay.
Sure.
We can counter that, and then they can't get the Tactician.
I mean, I understand that they're going to be able to cast it again later, but it's doing nothing right now. Like, we'll get to untap the Overwhelmed Apprentice, and, like, we can kill that with Bacon of Pie or other cards. Let's hold on to Drown in the Lock here.
Good point. I keep forgetting that this can counter any spell.
Yeah.
Instead, it can counter. It literally can counter any spell because there's no 8 drops in the format.
And, like, it's not like they're hitting us for 6 with this tap, but we're going to recover. They're hitting us for 2. Like, it's just not that impactful of a play.
Okay. And Golden Egg is going to carry significant weight here. I like just playing the Golden Egg and Swamp.
I think that you can play the Golden Egg. That makes the most sense, yeah.
Because they don't have...
Off an island, yeah. Because we want to scry after we get as much information as possible, so we might as well see what we're going to pull up first. And then this works out where we can sack the Golden Egg into their turn if they don't play anything worth Drown in the Locking. Drown on like Bake, I think we want to hold if we can because it's also a counter spell. So like if they like pretend they dropped a mountain and played like that white-red mythic enchantment, right? That's a way they could win this game.
Oh my gosh,
so, like,
that would be terrifying.
Yeah, so like whereas I'm not going to be careful at all with my Bacon Oak Pie because we have a lot of removal, I still want to like be somewhat careful with my Drown in the Lock.
Yeah, I think
easy block.
Yeah, this guy has no value.
If we knew they had something, we'd block. And then they're down to 1 card after this. We'll probably Drown in the Lock here for the blowout when they play the pump spell. Like now you can kill it in response, obviously, and then the Squire fizzles and all that. Even if we didn't have Drown in the Lock, I would just block because, I mean, it's an Overwhelmed Apprentice. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. It's like so low value to us. We play Island...
Witching Well now. Yeah.
And then we can just, Witching Well has been real great. I love Witching Well.
Witching Well is excellent. It's one of my favorite
yes. So we need...
Easiest top of all time.
That was really nice.
Land 6 and the busted 6 drop. Top. Your turn.
Feels good. It's going to be nice to cast that guy. He's going to eat a Beloved Princess. Oh, no, he can't block the Beloved Princess. Wow. Beloved Princess is the tech.
I think we'll manage.
I think we'll manage. Yeah. Resolve. And then we can Just Witching Well to draw 2 cards, or we could so tiny that.
Yeah, just draw 2 so that next turn we can play Lockmere into their turn.
Yeah, seems good.
I almost feel bad when I cast cards like Lockmere. Like, I wish they didn't exist. I have to play with them, you know what I mean? But I wish they didn't exist.
Yeah, it's like you're playing a normal game and then someone just drops a Garruk and makes 2 wolves and you're like, well, now I can't win.
Yeah, like, this is a good game where we're in a great position without Lockmere Serpent. Like, we can answer the cards they have in play and we're drawing cards, like, we're doing our thing. Lockmere just almost ruins this game.
Yeah, to be fair, the Beloved Princess deck is not really coming together. I like how Reef Soul just kills the 5-drop flyer. It's kind of nice. Yikes. Yeah, we still just dropped the Lockmere though.
Oh yeah,
the golden egg giving us life is really nice.
Taking a pie gives us another 3 life.
Oh yeah, we have so much life gain. Oh gosh, I think we just
also every time you stack a swamp to Lockmere, you gain a life for that matter.
So nice, all the life gain. The perfect card for our limited control deck. I don't know why this isn't an uncommon, like the poster uncommon for the blue deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sarcasm, by the way. Okay, so do we want to? I think we just want to kill their 2 flyers because that's the only way we lose, right? And then.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you could attack first because if they block, cool.
Yeah, good point. Okay, Beloved Princess. I guess Lockmere Serpent did eat Beloved Princess after all. And then we'll just. It's crazy that Epic Downfall can kill their 3-drop. That's like, what the heck?
Yeah, Epic Downfall feels like it should hit more than 3, not 3.
Yeah.
It's just not... Epic Downfall's just not situational. It's just 2 mana, exile a creature, basically.
Yeah, since we have Bacon to a Pie, we don't even have to worry about that. And then we can just crack our golden egg here. I was like, if they draw Sir Conrad, we still have an answer. And opponent has seen enough. Yeah,
I don't blame them. There's a Lockmere Serpent in play. Like I said, without that Lockmere Serpent, we were in a good position. With the Lockmere Serpent, just makes it silly.
Yeah, we can't, like even if they kill Lockmere Serpent, like, unless they have Trapped in a Tower specifically, like, what are they going to do?
And then even if they did that, we could just kill our own Lockmere Serpent,
Oh my gosh, the next level play. That's like...
So we just bake it into a pie and then recur it.
The most ultimate, like... the type of thought I've had with that before is like I had a Murderous Rider in play and the match was clearly going to mill and I was like, I have a Reef Soul left in my deck that I can use to kill my own Murderous Rider and put it on the bottom to give me an extra card. Like, those are the next level.
Nice.
This is a nice keep. We have Lockmere.
Oh yeah.
We have all the scries. Oh my goodness. Every time we have Lockmere, it just feels so wrong.
Yeah, Lockmere's dirty. That's a card that should be banned from Limited, clearly.
I like this. I think scrying land to the top and non-land to the bottom just makes the most sense because we do have our busted 6-drop to play.
And we already have a 2-mana removal, and Opt will turn into something else.
And we want to get up to 4 lands so we can crack Witching Well.
So that we can then get to 6 and win with Lockmere.
Oh no. Well, that's a shame. Huh. So they're on the mill plan too.
Yeah, could be interesting. I mean, we're good at drawing cards and milling. We have 1 Forever Young. They didn't get the Forever Young, did they?
No, they did not. Every time they mill us, it's going to be like the tension.
We also have those counter spells, which could come up big. It doesn't look like they got them yet either.
Those counter spells are so good in the mill mirror. Our deck just seems really good for the mill mirror. Not going to lie.
I mean, to be honest, our deck is just really good.
Yeah.
Like, I would snap block this deck in every draft ever, in every tournament I ever played. Like, this deck is just great.
Do we bottom Golden Egg?
I would bottom it. They're not an aggro deck, so the life isn't valuable, so we're just paying 2 mana to cycle.
Yeah, which we don't want. We just want to hit our lands. There's our own Secret Keeper, which I think we just fire off.
Yeah, no real reason not to. Plus, they just scryed. I wasn't paying that close of attention to whether it was top or bottom, but I mean,
man, the pure skill play on all these mills is just really nice. Didn't Say Please and Secret Keeper both gone is really big game. 4 spells.
Well, that's one of the few things, like, I wish Arena did a little better, was show you top bottom. I know it says it, but I wish it would, like, kind of, like, leave it next to it or something for, like, a turn cycle.
I agree completely. I've had struggles with that before.
Yeah, like, I mean, we're here playing Magic, and I didn't know whether they topped or bottom because I'm thinking about, like, our deck and the plays that are going to come up, and it just quickly tells you one top, one bottom, and then goes away,
One
and
of
then
the
the
things,
information goes.
it's kind of like how they keep the cards in hand revealed, so you don't have to write it down. It's just like a nice little quality of life.
Yeah.
Quality of life.
Keep it revealed that they scribe to the top, or keep it revealed that they scribe to the bottom, and just don't show you what.
My bad. We were supposed to crack the Witching Well there, but I thought it was their turn instead of our turn. So.
And I do stuff like that all the time.
I was like, oops.
Those aren't like strategic mistakes. Those are just like, I'm a human being. I have a fail rate. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I am not a computer.
Yeah.
Okay, they're cracking.
That kind of stuff doesn't bother me. It's whenever I'm streaming, that kind of stuff always bothers everybody else, and I'm just like, look, I'm a human being. Like, I have a fail rate. Like, every once in a while, I just play through something or whatever.
We have okie doke. We have our Festive Funerals turned on. Wow, they have not milled any cards we care about. They haven't milled our Forever Young. Forever Young's gonna be a house.
Yeah. They haven't milled all our best cards. Forever Young and our 2 counter spells. Our 2 didn't say pleases.
Yeah. Okay, resolve. Sure.
They do still have a lot of cards in hand, so I don't know if they're going to have their own counters. This could still end up being really interesting. Yeah. If we resolve Lockmere against Mono Blue, I think we're going to win, but they could easily be holding counter spells.
Yeah, I think it's worth just casting, though, because we can always get it back.
So,
on their
there's the 3-mana sorcery, though. Oh, and if they counter it, it won't get exiled. We'll just get it back then.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
No, I wouldn't cast it now.
No, not now. I meant later. On their end step, probably.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
We all want to hold Bar didn't say please for if they go for another Merfolk.
Yep. I mean, if they would for Merfolk this turn, I'm not sure that we would didn't say please it. We'd probably still rather just Lockmere unless we're super low. I'm imagining we still have around 20 cards.
We have
what
15.
Have they milled?
We have 15. I think we go for Lockmere.
Oh, yeah, because if it gets countered, it's not exiled. So definitely go for Lockmere.
Instantly resolves. It's a little awkward that we
they either have a counter or they don't. Wait. Don't play that.
Yeah, we want to sack swamps.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to sack too many, but we do need more islands. Like, I think at this point, we want to sack a swamp. Yeah. Because if we get an island, we want to play that more than another swamp.
Sage. Huh.
Well, just attack, right? I mean...
Yep.
Got to start working through their blockers. We've got our counterspell. We certainly can't sack islands to make it unblockable right now. If they try and ever take a few hits and we get them down to 14 or lower, then we might start sacking islands. Assuming we'll find a third island.
I think we play the swamp here.
Yeah.
And we don't play the Sage of the Falls.
No, definitely not. And even though they're on the mill deck, we may still sack a swamp in a turn or something. But for right now, I mean, we don't want to tap too much mana during our main phase, and we don't actually know if we want to sack more swamps or not.
I don't really care about Queen of Ice, I don't think.
We'll
just Reef Soul that.
Yeah. It's just one turn. You got to let that happen.
Yeah, and we
have a handful of removal.
Yeah. We don't care about this Tome Raider hitting us for one either.
Definitely not. Tome Raider's more valuable as a chump blocker for Lockmere Serpent than it is for the damage it's going to deal us.
Do you want to just
I would probably kill it in a turn. I think I would bake into a pie because our graveyard has infinite, so you're kind of getting to use 6 mana that way because you can just sack the food, not that it matters much.
Good point.
It's totally reasonable to Festive Funeral. I mean, I don't think it's a big difference. Do you want to spend the 1 more mana on removal right now, or do you want to get to sack the food? It's kind of irrelevant.
More swamps. I think that's our last swamp.
I think we can cash in 1 more swamp and see if we find an island or something useful.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I mean, they're a mill deck. We're not trying to go nuts with card drawing, but cycling these swamps is still useful for us. I mean, the swamps aren't doing anything for us.
And we're in fine shape.
I'm definitely not casting Sage in the Falls. I might Reeve Soul here. Not that any of their creatures do anything, but they are chump blockers for Lockmere, and it's not that likely they're going to end up playing something that we want to Reeve Soul. But obviously it wasn't a big deal to do it last turn or not.
We can Festive Funeral our own Lockmere Serpent to get around this so tiny.
Wait, we can Reeve Soul our Lockmere, right? After it becomes tiny.
That's so true. I don't think we want to counter it so tiny.
No, I definitely. My big concern with Reeve Soul was it's not going to deal with anything meaningful. All it's doing is removing a chump blocker. But now we'll just Reeve Soul our own Lockmere Serpent.
Yeah, the next level play. It's always
feels made it so tiny.
Holy, well, that's a nice didn't say please target.
Yes, definitely counter that.
It's getting them closer to decking, but so is just countering it.
And you don't really want to let them draw cards. Yeah. It's not like it mills 2 cards. It draws them the cards.
We
punted that one.
They baited and outsmarted us.
You know what? Got to be honest, the opponent played really well there. So while that Gadwick is worth countering, we do have to think about why did they leave 2 open? Why didn't they play it for 4, you know?
Yeah, that was a next level play.
Yeah, they did great there, and we had answers to it. We probably should have just let it resolve and Festive Funeral did end a turn. I think we punted.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what could be better than Gadwick? Oh, another rare.
Well, the thing is, Folio is a rare. It's not that we
Yeah.
needed to save Didn't Say Please. We have 2. But the reason we should have been able to find that line was because they left 2 mana open. They only Gadwick for 2 instead of 4.
Yeah. Well, that's going to make things trickier.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we're going to lose the Folio now, but
yeah.
See what we can do. Now we got to cast everything we can. Get the cards out of our hand.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to get rid of this. And then I think we mill them, right?
Can we use more mana possibly? I might just slam Sage.
Hopefully we hit Forever
just to
Young.
use all the mana.
If we draw our Forever Young, we're still in it.
Yeah, that's true.
Decline.
Yeah, decline.
I forgot you could decline that.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm just trying to use 5 mana. The next turn we can, like, you know, if we draw land, we can buy back Serpent and play it. If not, we can play Secret Keeper and Festive Funeral. Like, at this point, we're just trying to, like, empty our hand, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We'll mill them and Festive Funeral.
How many cards are in our deck?
We have
12?
9.
9? Jeez, yeah, we're gonna deck. There's just, like, no way around it. They got us with that Folio turn. My bad.
That was a sick play. I'm not gonna lie.
It was a good play by them, and you know, honestly, like I said, I'm not the kind of person to think like, oh well, like they could have this random rare, but only 10.
Yeah,
like that was just a mistake on our part. Yeah. We punted. We have to accept that.
I wasn't even paying attention to their mana, but yeah. Decline.
I'm not even sure you decline at this point because I think we don't get another turn, so we had to draw the Forever Young right now. Which, along those same lines, you may want to sack Swamps. How many cards? We have 9, and they can make us draw 4 end a turn, and then they'll be able to mill us for 5. Yeah, so we don't get another turn, right?
Whoops.
If we Festive Funeral, we have 1 card in hand. They go end a turn, tap 8. Each player draws 4, and then they go on tap, Folio us for 5, and we just have no library.
Yeah, we should have drawn. My bad.
Yeah.
That was well played by them. They did well this game.
They did play well. Like I said, I mean, it's one thing that, like, a card surprises you. Like, if they would have tapped out for Gadwick for 4 and we have 1 Didn't Say Please, I would still counter it. And then if the following turn they resolve Folio, good beats. Like, I can't put them on having Folio. But when they Gadwick for 2 and left 2 open, I should have put them on Folio. That's my fault.
That was so unfortunate. We're so close to being able to get 2 cards out of our hand.
Yeah. Maybe they won't go for it.
So they're milling us for 5. Maybe they won't go for it. Oh man, it's exactly 2. You know, the other thing that didn't work out was if we had cast the Festive Funeral instead of Bake into a Pie, we could have gotten 1 less
card out of her hand,
and then we would have won because we would have been able to chain Secret Keepers. That's actually kind of
that's true.
That's kind of insane as well.
Obviously, we couldn't predict we were going to need to do that because that was before we had the information that they would have Folio.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think we just punted on the Gadwick.
Yeah.
Gadwick's ability is scary too, but knowing that we had instant removal for Gadwick and that they chose to Gadwick for 2 less than the max, like I said, I think we just punted there.
Yeah, definitely punted. I think the Festive Funeral play might have also been a slight punt just because we don't care about the life gain from food, and we're never going to crack it. But that also isn't even...
I know the life gain didn't matter, but also we couldn't have anticipated that 1 mana really would matter.
For sure.
I think that was all before we had the information that they had Folio. Like, I don't think I would consider that a punt.
I think the Folio counter thing was definitely a punt, though. I think we were going to win that game if we had counter magic up. Like, if they draw 2 cards there, sure, maybe they find the tools they need, or... okay, or maybe they... Okay, I think we don't want either of these cards.
It's definitely bottom island, and then Drown is hard because, I mean, it's not a swamp, but we do have Opt, so we can see a lot of cards.
We have
I'm not
7.
against bottoming it. Our deck is so good. I mean, yeah, we should just dig to a swamp probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, we get even if we draw that drown, we get to see a card from opt, and then the card we draw off opt, and then our next draw step, and then we have didn't say please for turn 3. So then we'd still have our next draw step before we'd really care if we don't find a swamp.
Yeah.
And we've got 7 swamp, 2 golden egg. So I think it's something we could definitely think about. Plus 2 witching well and stuff. But ultimately, yeah, you can just bottom that. Wait, probably just opt.
You want to opt
before
here?
We play it. Well, because if you had drawn like Witching Well, you'd then go Island Witching Well. But if you had drawn Swamp, you might just play the Swamp. But I don't think it matters much. It's fine. But with how many 1 blue cards we have in our deck, I think we want to be opting main phase right now.
Makes sense. Okay. And we'll hit them for 1. Blue-black doesn't have any haste creatures, so... I can't believe they main decked Spectre Streak.
Yeah. I mean, if you're good at emptying your hand, the nice thing about that card is you can, play it when you have no cards in hand and it doesn't have a drawback. But I wouldn't usually main that either. I agree.
Yeah. Them knowing about didn't say please makes it a decent amount worse.
Yeah. It's an interesting spot. I mean, I think
I like playing...
Yeah, you still just...
Yeah, I think it doesn't really matter which one we play here. Because if they would go for a discard spell like a Spectre, we would just counter it. So we can just disguise.
Yeah, I mean, you should still play the Swamp. It doesn't matter about giving the information, because if they do make us discard or something, they don't have that many more cards in hand, so they're not that close to 7 mana. I'm not really sure whether we want to didn't say please it, or whether we'd want to just discard like Island and So Tiny or something. Wow, what do you think about that card? I haven't played against that a single time.
I have not either, but my initial thought was that it's bad. Because it's like a 3-mana Diabolic Tutor that your opponent in the late game is going to just wreck you with on 1 key turn where they just get what they need for 1 mana. It also kind of implies that you have a better card than your opponent. But with Didn't Say Please in our hand, I think we're going to end up in an okay spot. Like, I don't think we have to counter it, right?
Okay.
Like
I've never played against that card, but I agree that we can always counter whatever they go get, so...
Yeah, I don't...
Sure.
I'm not worried about this card. I think it's going to be good for us.
But they have the Malevolent Noble synergy, right? Like, they can go fetch something and then sack it to the Noble, potentially.
That is true. But they did not see that line, luckily. That does make it a little bit different, though. So it's like a...
Yeah, that's like a reason to play that card, because you can put the ability here on the stack and then pay 2 and sack it before it resolves, and then you just get your counter and you get your tutor, and then the opponent doesn't get the talisman.
Huh.
That said, they didn't see it, like you said.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. As is evident. I think I probably would have countered it if I'd seen that line.
We're probably So Tiny that, right?
Yeah, me too. We just want to use our mana, and we want to be holding up this Didn't Say Please for whatever they get. We probably should have blocked there. No, there's no 1 mana card draw. It doesn't matter. I think now we play Island.
Well, so the real question is, are we going to use Talisman?
Not here.
We don't have to use it now. We can use it later in the game. I'm just saying.
I think
like,
we'll use it eventually. The reason I think it's not a great card is because like we're a mill deck, so like we'll just use it to get our Lockmere Serpent, and our cards are just better than their cards. Or like the downside with Talisman is not only could your opponent just have a bomber you don't know about, like we have Lockmere Serpent that we can go get with this, then they probably don't have something that good. But also, if we're milling them out and we just get them low enough on cards, we can just fetch up a Didn't Say Please, and then it doesn't matter what they fetch with this.
Right, but if you sculpt our next couple turns, we have 4 mana this turn for potentially Didn't Say Please and Talisman, and then 5 for Funeral next turn. How many cards are in our graveyard? Just 1 or 2?
We have 1.
Because like I'm not sure whether we want a Talisman this turn or not. While we have exactly 4, I guess we probably shouldn't play a land before we rope out. But yeah, okay, it's cool. I mean, I'm not like sure the best way to use Talisman. Like it's like I said, I've never played with or against that card. But yeah, we have Lockmere Serpent. We probably want to get it. It's our best card by a lot. We're going to be able to have Didn't Say Please up either way. So the real question is just like, do we search for a Serpent this turn, or do we search for it next turn? Because, we're going to search for it, right?
Yeah. I think it's definitely worth searching for it. We can't do it at instant speed.
Right, that's why I was thinking whether we want to do
it. Never mind, you can only do it on your own turn.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm saying you can only do it on your turn. That's why I was thinking about whether we wanted to search last turn or not.
Yeah, we don't care about the spinning wheel.
No. They can, if they want to spend 5 mana tapping Serpent every turn, then we win. So.
They can sack their Mantle of Tides. Yeah, this is seeming okay. Okay, so this.
So now we got to go fetch the Serpent.
I think Serpent's probably better than the 2 cards they're going to get.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they'll have an answer. I don't know. Unlikely. I guess with Flash, it's near impossible.
Like they can fetch removal, but we can just get back Serpent.
Yeah, and even if it's Exile into Darkness, we can just didn't say please it or something. So.
Yeah.
We could hit them for 1.
Yeah.
Like we're not really.
I just don't want them to like equip Mantle of Tides and hit us for 1 because they don't really have much to do with their mana. It doesn't look like. Though.
Yeah, but we're closing with damage, not with mill, because we have Serpent.
I think we let this resolve.
Yes. Yes.
They have much better cards they could have.
Well, at this point, all we have to do is ride Serpent to victory. So, like, unless they play something that can, like, race Serpent or really combat it, what we're going to do is let anything resolve, because end of their next turn, we're going to flash in Serpent, and then we're going to sit on Didn't Say Please to protect it.
Yeah, we don't even care about that.
Nope, not at all. Like I said, the game now revolves around Serpent. If they don't do something that can, like, race a Serpent or kill a Serpent, then we're not countering it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. We also don't we just want to get the Serpent into play. Okay, sure. Cauldron of Familiar is fine. Like, they have 2 cards. Probably the 2 cards they got with... I hope they attack us. I think we just go for it. There's an epic... They could have epic downfall, and we don't really care about the 1 damage, so maybe that's not true.
Yeah, I probably just wouldn't.
Yeah, we'll just take the damage. Epic downfall is like a real card. Waiting for end stuff seems like a good deal on that.
Yeah, because we already have a removal. We have another blocker. Like, I mean, I just can't imagine they can win.
Yeah, I don't.
Blackmare Serpent even gains life. Are you going to attack, or I mean, you don't necessarily want to because they'll block with the cat right now. Maybe wait until sack an island.
Oh,
I mean, I guess.
Gosh. Well, these are 2 great cards.
Yeah.
I like getting Reef Soul first because we already have unconditional removal.
Yeah, I agree with that. But Reef Soul then Bake. But the real question is, do we want to sack an island?
For the 3-turn clock?
I mean, it's just 3 attacks, and we still have counter up and Festive Funeral for end of their turn.
Yeah, I
think I would.
I think sacking an island makes sense. Like, we even have another island in hand.
It's a really fast clock.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if they attack us back, then we don't necessarily have to sack islands.
Yeah, and
if they attack back and move their mana up to Spinning Wheel, then we just Festive Funeral at, like, end of turn, and, I mean, it's looking pretty good.
And if they hold up, like, 1...
You can always sack Swamps to draw cards.
Lucky Clover, eh?
You gotta let that out. How many adventures are they going to play? Because you can always counter the real one, and then they're just getting 1 copy off an adventure that they would get anyway if you countered the Clover. And, like, how many adventures are they going to play? They have 2 cards in their hand.
Okay. That's mildly annoying. But they only tap 2 things.
That's fine.
Yeah. We can just
doesn't matter.
We can Festive Funeral onto their, like, Tempting Witch or something.
And then we have Reeve Soul. Like, that doesn't matter at all.
Yeah. I feel very confident. I mean, this is the downside of Witchclaw Talisman. Like, they've already played 2 of the cards they searched up. Past the blockers. Do you just want to kill the Malevolent Noble?
No, just take the 4. I still think the only way we can realistically lose is if they have Epic Downfall. Like,
yeah, good point. We can
I'll Festive Funeral end of turn, but not right now.
Yeah, they might.
I mean, if they pay 2 and sack, then we can Festive
for
Funeral.
sure.
But now you can Funeral.
Man, the next level, we had sacked the island to get our guy slightly bigger to make Fetch Funeral better, and now we can just play our island.
You might want to start by sacking. You might want to start by sacking a swamp and drawing a card and seeing what we get. Because we know it's Bake. Hold on. Because I mean, we're still going to end up doing that, but you can do it at instant speed, and we know the top card is Bake, so we can just script our turn a little more.
We play an island because you want to have Didn't Say Please. Plus.
So you're gonna what? They don't have any more food. So you want to like Reeve Soul the Tempting Witch.
I was thinking of Reef Soul
And
and
then,
Queen of Ice. We can bake in the Queen of Ice, right?
Yeah, I would Reef Soul the Tempting Witch, hit them for 1 and play a land. I don't think it matters much which land you play.
Yeah.
Actually, it does. Play the Swamp. Play the Swamp. Because if you sack a Swamp, then you have Bacon to Pie for end of their turn for Queen of the Ice.
Yeah, I like hitting them because then if we get one more hit in, it means that even if they get a food somehow, then, yeah, they don't get out of range of the 2 hits on Lockmere.
Well, yeah, I agree, but I like hitting them just because we're not going to block.
Oh yeah,
with
definitely
right now, so
we definitely want to hit them. Getting them a little lower definitely is important because if they gain 3 life somehow. Okay, I think we are going to wait until end step to sack a swamp.
The Bacon to Pie. Yep. At instant speed, there's nothing to fear because like Exile into Darkness is a sorcery.
I don't think Epic Downfall.
All right, whatever it's called. Yeah,
Exile into Darkness would be a sick card name, though. Exile.
I think it might be a card, but it's not. Yeah. You're right. Epic Downfall is the card that I'm talking about. Yeah. But I think that's like some old card from like Champions or something.
Yeah. Do we sack another swamp?
No, just Bacon a Pie. I think the Queen of the Ice, right?
Yeah. We definitely want to kill the Queen of the Ice.
We're not scared of anything because, like we said, regardless of the card name, the card's a sorcery, so they can't really do anything now.
Sure. They may know we have this didn't say please. Oh, that's another one. That's really good. Probably just get rid of the golden egg. Just doesn't...
I mean, clearly we're topping the didn't say please, and that's, the key decision here. I think I would keep the golden egg too, though, because it's just free life at this point, and we're winning with damage. We're trying... They have to race this Lockmere Serpent. How else are they going to beat us?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like, topping the didn't say please is the much more important part, but we've got plenty of mana. I don't see a reason to pass up 3 life that we're not spending a card on.
Good point. I always just think of, like, if I'm just casting golden egg, I'm like, when my life total is so high, I always just think, like, what am I trying to get with my golden egg? It's like, oh, I'm trying to find a spell, so I just get closer to a spell, and we have ways to use our lands, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it would definitely be no big deal to bottom the egg. I highly, highly doubt we're going to need it.
I feel confident.
But it just feels like... Yeah, it just feels like whatever. We have 7 mana in play. Like, who cares? Like, why pass free life?
Yeah, exactly. This is going to work out for us probably either, no matter what happens.
Yeah, that's not a play that
we're not. Yeah, end step we can draw 2 cards.
Yeah, we can do anything during their end step. Like if they bake into a pie it, we're just getting it back. Like we don't care.
Yeah, we even have the mana to do that.
Yep, we just can't let them exile it, but they can't do that during their end step. Sack the food. It's not doing anything in play.
Yeah, I was thinking if we don't sack the food, though, we can just pay the 2 mana to get this card back immediately. Because we don't actually have the mana to get it back.
Only on your...
Oh, dang. How do you know so much about Lockmere Serpent?
I've had it once.
Nice. Oh, God. I was like, man, I'm just going to be able to do that on their turn? Okay. And then we just attack them. No, we sack an island first.
They go to combat. They're going to tap it. No, wait.
Oh, right.
Go to combat, and then they're going to tap it. But if they don't tap it, then you can do that after you declare attackers. You don't want to sack islands and have them tap it.
Good point.
So now set a stop. Hit the wait. Yeah. Well, okay. Full control works too, but you could also just click the sword for a stop rather than full control. And now sack the island. Yeah.
Yeah. So letting Witchcloth Talisman resolve could have been barely bad if they'd done that a little differently. But as it is, it worked out nicely. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm slightly confused.
Yeah, that does nothing.
They're just getting their quests done. I respect it.
Yeah, whenever people don't concede in spots where they're just 0% no matter what happens, I'm always like, I don't understand why people fight these out. And then everybody in my chat always reminds me of quests.
Yeah, they're like, man, they have their quest for cast 25 black spells, so they forced black in their draft. Man, 2-2 with this deck feels like a travesty.
I mean, yeah, it's single games. So, like if something lines up poorly in one game, like we lost that one game, we were a pretty big favorite into the Reaper. And then the other game, they played really well. And, they resolved their problem.
And we blew it.
We blew it.
Oh gosh, yeah, this is a nice hand again. This is the power of like having these little smoothers in our deck.
Oh yeah.
We've never had to really mulligan for missing lands. Oh my gosh. Just having island in our opening hand is always nice.
Well, there is 9 of them, so I mean we're still fortunate that we've always had it. But with the hand smoother and best of 1 plus 9 of, like we should have it
sure.
most times.
Do you keep the opt here?
Yeah, I probably would.
But do you put the swamp?
Because turn 3, yeah, I'd keep both. Because turn 3, we're gonna Golden Egg next turn probably, unless they play a good 2-drop, and then turn 3 we can play opt and Reveal.
For sure.
And even if that happens in a different order, it's not actually any different. Like now, that's a good enough 2-drop to Reave Soul, but then turn 3 we'll just Golden Egg and opt, so it's same difference.
It was funny. I was listening to Limited Resources, and LSV was talking about how they didn't realize that Order of Midnight couldn't block when he played it, and so on turn 3 he didn't attack with it because he thought they might not attack again, but then they attacked anyway, so it was all for nothing.
That is pretty funny. So you have to play the swamp first so that you can Golden Egg with a blue up, right?
For sure. Because we want to have So Tiny available.
Yep, and opt. Mostly opt.
Mostly opt. Man, this card's going to be so good.
Fairy Vandal's actually sick in our deck. Like, even though we're like more of a control deck or whatever, if you trigger that a couple times, it's just a ridiculous creature. And, I mean, we have a lot of ways to trigger that.
For sure. And also just makes it so hard to attack into it. Okay, so they play that.
Yep.
If they attack their 3-1 in here, we're in great shape here. But we're probably just going to hopefully we can opt.
No, well, yeah, we don't want to opt now. Since we drew Fairy Vandal, we want to opt to trigger Fairy Vandal. So now I would just So Tiny the Paragon end of turn.
Really? Okay. That's because I just wanted to hit my land drops because I feel like we have so many ways to trigger the Fairy Vandal.
I mean, I think it's more important that we just trigger it an extra time. Like, we're not under any pressure. It's turn 3, you know?
Yeah. So, oh yeah, now we can play.
They have nothing going.
We can use the egg for mana. Okay.
Wait. Well, no. Oh, do we want to do that? Yeah, that's fine.
I mean,
okay, I'm down with that.
We want to hit our land drop, so we want to be casting opt this main phase, I think.
Well, I mean, so the thing is, we can use the egg for blue mana for Didn't Say Please if they play some kind of really game-ending bomb, and like our hand is really cheap. I don't know that hitting our land drop right now is like a huge priority. Like, it is a good thing, of course. Like, I'm not saying like we don't want to hit it.
We can't get.
I'm just not sure that it's a big priority.
We can't get the counter at instant speed because it's only 1 draw.
Oh, no, yeah, I know. I wasn't planning to do that. Like, what I was saying was, like, we could pass a turn and then end a turn Fairy Vandal, or we have Didn't Say Please available if they play something great.
Yeah, that's fair. What are they going to play that's super great for 4 mana, though?
It's highly unlikely, yeah.
I think we just want to make sure we keep hitting lands, because we do have a decent amount of tools.
Another thing, though, that I like about passing is they might just Reave Soul the Fairy Vandal, but if we play it during their end step, we might draw an island, and then we might be able to protect it. And we're under no pressure.
Okay. That sounds fair. Let's go for that.
And there's good reasons to try and hit your land drops in this deck. It's just our hand is really cheap, and we're under 0 pressure.
Okay, so
I just don't feel like that's something we need to worry about right now.
We don't have to counter that, right? We can just let it resolve and then hope to...
No, I would definitely not counter that. If they kill the Fairy Vandal, we can forever young it back or whatever.
For sure. They can't even activate it right now.
Like, I didn't want to play the Fairy Vandal main phase so that they could go Reave Soul or Cauldron and kill it, but at the end of the day, like, if they do kill it, then, like, we can get it back. It just feels like we can just play it in a turn and delay their ability to do that by a turn.
Yeah, we don't opt here. We just continue to wait.
No, definitely. Right.
I like Golden Egging, I think. I mean,
because we didn't draw an island for Golden Egg, yeah. Use more mana. If we drew an island here, I might have just passed the turn. Attack for 1 and pass the turn. But since we didn't, I would just play Golden Egg.
That was a good draw. We don't have to attack here.
But what's stopping us? I mean, you can Secret...
We'll attack and then we can Secret Keeper. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because we can't draw 2 cards on their turn right now, so there's no way we can stop them from Cauldroning the Vandal. But if we're taking their turn, like, it's fine. Next turn we'll just forever young the Vandal back and then pass to them, and then we'll just be able to play it again during their end step and then trigger it again with opt and just get it going.
Yeah. So they kind of have to use it this turn, and then we can just forever young it back. Yeah. So we kind of just time walk them a little.
That's the plan.
Well, yet another way to trigger it. I think forever younging just the Fairy Vandal makes a lot of sense.
Yep, definitely agreed.
I mean, that's the only card we could forever young, but then just passing till end step, so they can't do too much.
Yep. I mean, the only thing you could even consider would be attacking with the Apprentice, but they would just attack back with the Swordmaster,
Yeah.
and the end result would be they'd take 1 and then gain 2, so that doesn't benefit us.
Yeah, it doesn't work out mathematically. And also then they can, like, Reef Soul this thing or something, because they don't really have that many great targets. If they Reef Souled this, we'd be pretty happy.
I don't think we'd mind it. Yeah, I don't think we'd mind if they Reef Souled it, but at the end of the day, dealing them 1 to have them gain 2 doesn't benefit us.
So now we can just flash this in. The Foulmire Knight can combine with the Secret Keeper to kill the Lochthwain, which is nice. Oh, that's a good
Definitely.
draw. So we'll just tap our mana properly here. Now we really do kind of want to hit our land drops, but I think Foulmire Knight is just so much better.
I agree. We do want to hit our land drops now. We drew our like, basically one reason to do that, but we're drawing an extra card anyway, and if we don't hit a land drop this turn, it's fine. We're not under pressure.
And hitting them is actually relevant now, because if they get to 14, it's only 2 turns.
Yeah, I expect to win this game with damage, not with mill. I mean, we're going to mill some people out, but with Fairy Vandal and Lochmere Serpent, we also have 2 good closers.
Yeah. Makes the deck a...
Fairy Vandal is ridiculous.
This card is
like,
so...
it's ridiculous.
This is the best I've ever seen Fairy Vandal. Like, every card in our deck triggers it. We just have, like, opts lying around. Oh, no.
Whatever.
Well, that's a nice little easy block. Like, we trade our 1/1 Death Touch for their 4/3, and we take 4.
If you called this last turn.
Yeah, this was, like, my long-term plan. I'm, like, really happy this worked out. And now we can always just chump this thing a couple turns. This guy's going to grow out of control. This thing means our Didn't Say Please are online. So we opt main phase to look for land.
Yep.
We find Secret Keeper, but we don't need that because we're not winning with mill.
I agree. Bottom that. We're looking for a land, like you said.
First try, always skill. And I think we just hit them because the Fairy Vandal's not big enough to stop the Death and Lift Knight anyway. And then we just pass. Double Didn't Say Please feels good, especially because we know they're choked on mana.
And we're 1 land away from Lochmere Serpent.
Well, Bake into a Pie feels good here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Fizzle their out muscle, kill their only good threat. Don't mind if I do.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad they did that. Oh. Well then.
Well, they're making this attack because they're going to gain life and get back their 4/2.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it just goes in their hand, so it's a great position for us. But it's definitely right for them to make that attack buy back their 4.
I forgot about the buyback. We're going to be able to eat the 4/2. They're going to be like, wow, what is this guy's deck?
Yeah. Lochmere Serpent obviously ends this game, but we would win this game without Lochmere. We could just, like, you know, counter that, gain 9, have another counter for any removal for Vandal.
Yeah, gain 9. Just all the life gain just sitting in play.
I mean, realistically, they'll scoop to the Lochmere, but yeah, I don't think we needed Lochmere to win this game.
I mean, they're almost just dead on board. We can keep 2 counters up.
Yeah, just, well, okay, they did just get...
I mean, they're not dead to the Fairy Vandal anyway. I mean, they're not dead in 1 turn anyway, so it's going to be a delay anyway, so we might as well just attack them normally and then hit them to 9. I don't know. I think it's kind of close on whether or not to...
What were they at, like 12 or 13?
They were at 12, so if we sack an island to get the lock...
So if you hit them for 10, then the Fairy Vandal and the Serpent are lethal next turn.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah, I was thinking that, like, the Fairy Vandal plus the Serpent was going to be lethal the next turn anyway. And, yeah, but yeah, I guess sacking the island makes sense. They're not going to cast 2 spells we have to deal with. Yeah, that's just, like, really... That was really cool. I didn't really think about we don't need to hit land drops because our hand is so cheap, but that was so true. And it, like, really gave a sense of security to that hand. One second. My display settings are wonky. Oh, never mind. I'll fix those later. Is the screen in nighttime mode for you? Just wanted to double check. Because...
I'm not going to lie. I don't really know what that is.
Well,
so I don't
because
really
my
know.
screen turns reddish when it gets to a certain time, so it makes it easier to fall asleep. But you would have
cool.
You would have noticed if it had happened. I think it doesn't affect. I've noticed it in recordings in the past that it doesn't really affect things, but I just always was curious how it, because I don't know how it interacts with display capture in OBS. It's like one of those things that's just like kind of bizarre. Yeah, I think we just milled them.
I probably should use that because I'm pretty bad at falling asleep, but I've never used that.
Yeah, it's really easy to set up. You just We mill them, right? We don't care about opting right now. We want more information.
Yeah. Yep. We mill them because we might want to know 4 block their next turn, but we don't want to miss out on milling, and we don't have a second island. Plus, we don't know whether we want to put a land or on the top or bottom right now. We'd rather take a few draw steps and opt a little later.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, Rimrock Knight just gets so owned by Secret Keeper.
Yeah.
I don't think we want a Reef Soul. I think we just Secret Keeper.
I agree. You don't even care that much if our Secret Keepers die. That just turns on forever, you know.
Oh yeah, and also our Drown in the Lock.
Yep.
I wish we had more islands in this hand. This is the okay. We'll make them spend their turn or whatever they have. If they have a barge in, we're fine. Rimrock Knight, okay. Mildly annoying. Okay. Do you like just Reef Soul so tiny here?
I definitely like Reef Soul. So Tiny is an instant, so we can decide that later. But yeah, I 100% like Reef Soul, and then we'll either So Tiny or opt. Probably So Tiny.
We have so many good tools.
But now that we've drawn second island, and you know we have 5 lands, we can definitely opt as soon as we want to.
Yeah, because we now know that we don't need lands. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes me like So Tiny even more, because now we have a target for Drown. Because we don't want to So Tiny that, because then when it attacks, it still pumps the rest of their knights. So like So Tiny the Rimrock makes a lot of sense, and then we'll Drown the Bell as soon as we can.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds.
We already can.
I love the way talking Magic lingo just sounds like so like jarring sometimes. Like we're just gonna Drown the Bell. Now I think we just wait and bake it into a pie, because our Drown is getting to the point of being really flexible as a counter.
Sticking with the Magic lingo, you just said now we bake the bell instead of drowning the bell.
Now we bake the bell. There was one time when I opened a pack of M20 and I was like, wow, I love murder. And it was just like a complete catastrophe. I was just like, oh no, what have I said? What have I done?
Oh yeah, they always like add that to the quotes in my stream. Like I'm always just like, murder is great, and then the next thing I see, it's like, quote, badass, murder is great.
Yeah, I think
you should have probably baked it before they attack, but it's not that big of a deal.
I was thinking we might want to opt and counter something, but we probably.
I mean, did you want to take the hit? Because I mean, if you want to take the hit and do that in a turn, that makes sense. But if you're going to bake it in combat, then just bake it at the start of combat.
I was thinking saving bake potentially is fine, because they could play like, I don't know, something scarier, and we don't really care, because these things.
Can we just drown whatever they play though, unless it's like a planeswalker or something?
Yeah, good point. We took an extra point of damage for nothing.
Yeah, like if drown was a normal counter spell, like if it was didn't say please, then it might make sense to take the 4 damage. This way you could didn't say please something and bake in a turn. But since drown is bake in a pie and didn't say please, since it's just counter spell and removal, you don't really have to like leave your mana up for it, unless you're worried about, you know, unless you're in closeout mode and it's just like, how could I possibly lose this game, you know?
Yeah, I think we opt here to start.
Yes.
And then
opt, see what we get.
And then we can hold up Drown and our food. Definitely gonna play this island.
Agreed.
And if we do counter a spell pre-combat, then they have 6 cards, so this thing's no longer relevant. Drown in the Lock can kill the Wicked Guard Mother.
Yeah, but now we do have the situation where if we drown now and they resolve something, we can't didn't say please it, because didn't say please isn't drown. So now you do want to wait, like you were talking about last time.
We also have this food, so we're not really that worried about our life total. Oh, we probably want to counter that, right?
Oh, we definitely want to counter that.
With our didn't say please.
Yep.
Because we can always we have enough mana that we can sack a food anytime.
Plus, we don't want to have to deal with all those threats again.
Yeah, it's kind of irritating. And now this thing's no longer a threat. Ha! That's the pure value play. We can just kill the Wicked Guardian, because that card is kind of a problem at some point. But we don't we don't have to do it immediately. Oh, gosh. Don't mind if I do.
Well, hold on. So we're probably going to counter that, but I wouldn't mind 3 free goats if we can drown it. Do they have 8 cards in their yard?
Oh, they do.
Yeah, then I would probably just let that out, because then we can just drown in the locket, and we get all these goats to chump block Wicked Guardian with, and deal with the Wicked Guardian later.
That's the next level play. I'm just going to kill it now, because I want to save.
Yeah, we're not sacking the ghost to tap it. It doesn't matter if you do it before or
Oh,
after
it's converted mana cost. It's not power. Oh, they have way more.
Oh, cool.
I thought it was power.
Yeah, so then we only need 5. Cool.
And we can gain back. Yeah, and we can just chump the Wicked Guardian for a while.
Yeah, and if we draw removal, we might net some goats. And in the meantime, like, yeah, like this game's not that close to ending yet. So I mean, if we counter that, the didn't say please is in our graveyard, and I'm sure we could drown the Guardian. But now we still have the didn't say please for later, and Guardian isn't that hard to deal with. So given we net 3 goats here, I think I like drowning it,
Yeah.
getting the goats, and then being able to save didn't say please for the next threat.
I actually let it resolve once because I had a So Tiny and I had a Secret Keeper in play. So like it was a 2/8. It couldn't do anything. Oh, I'm gonna.
And now we can counter that.
Yeah, that card's scary. We have milled a lot of their lands, which is win some, you lose some. I think I like.
We've also
I
drawn a lot of
I
lands.
like continuing to play lands because we have the Witching Well.
Yep,
Like, there's no
I
reason
agree.
to hold them.
Also Lochmere Serpent.
Oh yeah, Serpent uses those things very well, and we could Forever Young.
Yeah, I mean, we bottomed a land or two. I mean, sometimes you just get flooded, right? It's a 16 land deck, and I mean,
Yeah,
that's
we have
9.
9.
But hopefully we'll draw spells. This is similar to game 1 that we played like 4 or 5 games ago, where like I like our position, even though we're losing on board, but we have to draw like Forever Young, Lochmere Serpent, one of our 2 Witching Wells. Like if we just, land, removal spell land, then we're gonna lose. But
Yeah.
a lot of our deck is like super on right now.
Yeah, a lot of our deck is super on. That's a good phraseology. Oh, Island. At least we can cast these spells once we draw them.
Well, now it's turning into do or die time. Like,
Yeah, this is
gotta
not
draw
looking,
in.
this is looking grim for the heroes.
I mean,
We draw a lot
this is
here.
just like game 1. This like we punted the 1 game for sure. That's on us. But this in game 1 are just unlucky floodouts. I mean, it's a 16 land deck. We're not supposed to draw land, removal
Dude,
land.
it's actually just funny. If I hadn't changed the artwork, it wouldn't have glitched the code. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think there's
It's
anything
not
we
a
did
code.
wrong there. Like, if
Yeah.
we had drowned and secreted the troll and then used the drown the lock on the Wicked Guardian, they would have had the carriage, so we would have lost to the carriage.
Yeah.
So I mean, ultimately, I think we did everything we could, and then those last like 4 turns, we just drew all lands.
Yeah,
Like, that's just
literally, and they were literally all islands too. It wasn't even swamp to give us some variety. It was just island, 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 island.
like I said, this blue-black deck was drafted really well, and it was really broken.
Yeah.
I think 2 of the 3 games we just got horribly flooded, and then I think we did punt that game against the Gadwick. We had a good enough hand with them choosing to leave 2 open that we should read that might be an impressive 2-mana spell still left, and we should not have countered Gadwick. That game was on us.
Yeah.
The other 2 games, we just got flooded. And
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
magic.
You can't always win them all, and like, yeah, if Flood and Screw weren't part, like some people would just, it would be really hard for newer players to win, and it wouldn't be as fun overall. Because like mana difficulties can sometimes lead to just really interesting games. Like that one game we played where we had few land drops, but we like were deciding consciously that we didn't need to make land drops. Like that was really interesting and was a fun game. But like then there's definitely more extreme games. But yeah, that was pretty fun. Definitely enjoyed that one. If you did,
Yeah, definitely something we should do again sometime.
exactly.
Like every time I've ever done a draft video with anybody else, like I've always really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, it's always super fun just talking through plays and stuff because they always come up with an idea that you didn't think of, and then you come up with something they didn't think of. But yeah, if you did enjoy the video, remember to check out Ben S's. If you watched it on my YouTube channel, be sure to check out Ben S's. Ben Stark's YouTube channel and Twitch stream, Ben_S_MTG. If you are watching this on Ben Stark's YouTube channel, you can find my content at NicolaiBolas on YouTube, and to a smaller degree on Twitch, though not really as much. But yeah, if you did enjoy it, remember to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, click that bell icon so you don't miss any future videos, and leave a comment if you have any questions. If you did make it all the way till the end of the video, be sure to type #SerpentIsBroken in the comment section to let us know you made it all the way till the end of the video. Yeah, that's going to do it. Any parting thoughts, Ben?
Oh, that was super fun. I was really impressed with a lot of your draft analysis. I thought, you made a lot of really good points that a lot of people miss in draft about, like, now we have this, so we want that, or this is an opportunity to stay open as opposed to not. And like, I had a lot of fun, and I definitely want to draft again with you.
That was fun.
That was great.
Yeah, awesome stuff. That is going to do it for this video, though. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you next time.